I don't.
Girl,
think
no.
So. What?
Girl, no.
So this is girl. What's bitch?
How often do you say that to Dustin?
There should be a requirement for stagehands to learn sign language.
Yeah,
I
because
think
then
it's
you're
a
like.
requirement for like everybody.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
It means
I mean
magic trick.
specifically for
I don't
for,
think we slept.
for stagehands.
Okay.
Stagehands, cops, and EMTs and
Yeah.
firefighters. should all
Well,
be-
I just think we should do it so we can talk across stage
Exactly.
and just quietly.
It should be working out.
Hey, maybe we're working, maybe we're not. If you're in chat, please tell us if there's
Which
audio.
one of us is
Let's
in
go ahead and. Let's go
I'm
ahead and
not.
do that.
I should put this on silent because this is gonna make all the noises. Oh,
All
my
right,
God.
so hashtag awkward. As for whatever reason, the audio just decided it didn't want to work today.
Wasn't it like I don't know?
Well, that was
Because
a
you were messing with your audio yesterday.
yeah, probably. Probably something went terribly
That's cool
wrong.
too. That handle.
Yeah, get it. All right, so
Things I got at random.
with that
I
being
thought so.
said,
We have audio.
cool. Hey everybody, I'm Soul Rose. These are my friends. Welcome back to our continuing game of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I'm your host with the most, Soul Rose.
Oh, nice.
That's it. That's all I got. That's the end of our show, folks.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-bye.
Just
You
slide
like
on.
that? You like that? I stole it from somebody else.
Yeah, right. I did.
I got all the great things in life.
Yeah, all the good things.
Tesla.
Oh, this is muted. Still muted.
Sorry.
Someone said it's in your shit, and here's why.
No,
You
guys,
said we're
it's
good on the
different.
audio, sir?
Yes, we have audio.
Confirmed? Alright, cool.
Yep.
Excelente.
It's a different
Um,
kind of Twitch channel.
Well,
It's self-interactive. We just interact with ourselves.
Columbus was shit, and here's why.
Oh god. You should just make it as a stream for yourself.
No, it's
Alright.
just taglines. That's it. He just
Yeah.
comes in, says
He
something,
just
Oh,
says something
and
unique.
then
Alright, so
I'm
quick. We had some
might
successful
agree.
monster hunting
It's
yesterday with the Arch-Tempered Zora Magdaros fight, which is arguably the easiest fight in the game.
It
And
was
that's
pretty
saying
great.
much.
You want it?
So that happened. That was a thing. The armor is gangster though, surprisingly good. So that's equally
does
surprising.
it look any different on females or no?
No,
Dark
it's,
Souls.
it's Dark Soulsy, and you can the colors. You can change more
Because
of the
there was
color
this
scheme
line
than
in
before.
permanent marker, and I was like,
Um,
that could be a buffalo.
Because the guys make you look like fucking Sauron.
I
Perfect.
think the
Fine,
lady
I'll
part
check
is
for
a little
stream
more
today.
goofy, but otherwise I don't think it's too much.
I don't want to be a Gus Lolly though.
So we're doing. We have a D&D related giveaway at 200 followers or 10 subs, whichever one comes first. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and do that thing. All these videos do go up on YouTube after the fact. This is episode 52. Did you guys know that?
I had it
Yes.
at 54.
Well, you are incorrect.
Well, you
50.
count session 0 and something else too.
It was something else. But then we ended up rolling into it because we had time. So it ended up being like 0.5.
So in Wheat World, it's 52.
In Soul World, that's the only
Yeah.
one number that matters.
Yeah, it's the only one that matters.
Fight.
So yeah, this is a one whole year of things that we have done in this campaign setting.
Oh, in game?
Yeah, in game.
oh, with these
Wow, I
characters.
thought it's been
yeah.
like 3
Well,
months.
with this character
Oh,
and that character,
Yeah.
I guess.
yeah.
Some of them disappeared or died. So,
Or both, yeah.
or both. So yeah, we are back. We had a successful game of Monster Hunter. We were trying to do something else. We were trying to branch out into other games. We just had some very stupid technical difficulties with getting that other one set up. So be prepared for that one in the future. Might stream it. Might have to do it
Immediately,
solo.
it might.
Or we might have to do the old school 2 in 1 room fucking side by side thing.
Yeah, I was reading. on
Land
that,
party.
and that's not an issue, but the issue then becomes.
No, I got it to work.
No,
One uses a controller and the
Yeah.
other one uses. By the way, the controller felt way better than using
yes,
the
it
button-
does.
than using the
But I still
keyboard
suck.
and stuff. But with that being said, that's all I got. You guys got anything? Anything?
I watched all of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
All right.
Nice,
Gotta
that is a
announce
great
it. You
show.
That
are-
is
Yeah.
an announcement.
It was fantastic.
It's awesome.
I had never seen it before.
Wait, if I cover this up, does that stop the audio? Go on YouTube and look up a guy named Hello Future Me.
Hello, Future Me.
He does.
I was telling you about that.
He has a whole
Oh,
series
cool.
on nothing but writing fictional stories and how. to
Oh, that's right.
set
Yeah,
up.
and you were saying that. Yeah,
And
the
he
back
uses
and
Avatar: The Last Airbender as like the best example of proper world building
Dude, the only thing I was disappointed by was the very end of the show, one of the final fights. I'm not going to spoil anything. It was one of the final fights, and it was really capped because I felt like if they weren't stuck to a Y7 rating, that they could have done something a little darker with the fight that wasn't supposed to end well. And I feel like a darker ending to that would have been much more interesting than what we got.
Yeah, everyone gets off happy and free. All right,
I mean,
so
except
Certain people.
you know. But yeah, no.
I just think they should have explored bloodbending.
Basically watched one. I watched first season after Ren Fair, and then I watched the second and third seasons this week. Second, third, and just the 3 seasons, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was 4.
No,
No,
Earth, Wind, and Fire or some shit like that. Earth.
Yeah,
it's all of them except Wind.
Yeah, they don't do air because
Nailed
because
that
they're
one.
all dead.
Well, the next one.
Yeah, Legend of Korra starts with that. Yeah, I watched
Also
part of the
not
first
good.
episode.
So.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard, but I'm gonna watch it anyway.
It's not terrible, but
yeah.
it does take a little
But
bit.
I
Why are you
binged it. I
complaining
basically
about that
binged the whole show in a weekend.
Well, I mean, this guy puts up videos about how great Avatar: The Last Airbender's world building is and how bad Korra is. He uses that as an example of bad storytelling.
I have mixed feelings.
I need everyone to roll initiative.
Okay.
Are you petting?
Kind of. It's a leg.
I think he enjoyed it. Oh,
Were you not ready?
Okay.
I need everybody to roll initiative.
Oh, fuck.
Initiative, and we're getting into it.
Did you
It's-
recap this at all?
No,
Oh,
we're going right into it.
Yeah, but no.
America!
I feel like we should have done that instead of recapping Monster Hunter. No.
You should.
Do you want to do a brief recap?
Yes.
While you guys roll initiative?
Yeah.
Sure. Let me slide back into frame here. So last time our band of intrepid adventurers made their way through the northwestern edge of Alavra, heading towards the trying to find a mountain pass through the Cavella Mountains. Upon being successful, they made their way through a series of narrow channels that crossed between mountain passes, sort of like varying in inclines and declines.
11.
Before finally making their way into what is to be known as the Cursed Land, a bizarre landscape that defies logic, with sort of like warped trees that seem to bend in random directions, overturned like moss, and heavy vegetation with puddles of strange, vibrant colored liquids that erupt in like gas and spew acid, and sort of like this nightmarish landscape that just doesn't make sense. Thick canopy and heavy looking willow trees that kind of make up the spread here. But the party went. They encountered some strange undead that explode upon being defeated. You encountered, what else did you encounter that same thing? Oh, same thing with the dogs, the undead wolves that seem to prowl the landscape. And then as you guys were going and kind of getting your shit together, you happen to hear the strange braying of some sort of goat. Upon looking around and finally calling out to the presence, you saw the silhouette of a large goaten head kind of peering at you from between like these long outcroppings of grass and sort of what are those, like cattails that just kind of like permeate in the area. And it just stared at you. And then we rolled initiative, obviously. So, we're at 25 to 20.
20.
Ooh, they didn't.
11.
He's like,
So throw this up here at 20. You can't. I can.
Don't expect anything else that high.
Is anybody higher than
No.
11? Okay. All right. So Tam is up next at 11. Who's next?
You.
6.
6 and
5.
6 and 5. So unready.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
To be fair, I am the one who called out to it.
Yeah. Hello.
So with that being said, you call out to the creature and you can hear that heavy sort of breathing. You can see the reflection from the pools in its eyes that make them glimmer red beneath or behind the veil of sort of trees there. Hey, Bean Buggy. I'm gonna have to maneuver over here. Top of the round is Theta. What are you doing?
Yay.
What's the plan?
Oh
What
my
is
God,
he
a
doing?
mini.
You see its head lower and its shoulders raised, and it's kind of doing this heavy breathing that's taking its whole body. It's just like,
Yeah.
it seems the best you can hit. You've seen rabid dogs in the past. And it seems like it's just ready to roll, like it's going to attack.
Inside it.
Insight check.
I don't believe.
That's actually his greeting. That's how they greet. Actually.
He's super pumped
Foams
at
at the
you.
mouth.
How far
it
away
means
is
hi.
it? How far away is it?
Exactly. That's
It's
an
filled
accurate
with
amount.
Oh, that is?
Yes. Ooh. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw. At the start of your turn.
Okay. Start of my turn.
Correct.
We're in the bog of lost.
Not great.
Not
Constitution is a 9. Wait, is that a 9? Yeah, 9.
You take 6 points of necrotic damage.
Ah.
As you look at it and it starts to, you see it kind of like
6, you said?
yeah, it seems to start to heave.
Oh
Heave,
yeah.
and you're the first one that kind of notices, but as it does, the ground around you begins to just wilt and fall aside. And then as you're kind of standing there, you're like, oh, you can kind of see this this pressure as it dies, and when it finally reaches you, you just feel this like sudden pulse that almost like feels draining. It's like sucking the life out of you.
I don't like that.
Oh.
I am going to dash
Okay.
left. Because
Aw.
I've seen
gets
some
no
magics
plus.
before. I'm going to assume it's a cone.
I lied to you. You're fine. 6. It's just outside the room.
Oh, thank God. Then hold
But
on.
you can. I would say that you can see it. You can see. This
Yeah,
kind of like
okay.
circles spreading from it.
Is it, and it's not a cone then, it's a circle?
You can see it actually.
In the okay, cool.
So which way you want to
Still okay. I'm going to move to me this way. Oh, no, not diagonal, just straight across. I'm going to separate myself from the group. And I'm not going to dash, I'm just going to go 25. Is that 25?
Yeah. 5, 10, 15,
Do you think you'll take the mobile fee?
No, I'm going to take Observe It.
All right.
Good.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
It's a great one.
it does amazing
taking
stuff
it.
for me.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna.
So he's about 50 feet away from you right now.
Cool. I'm going to pull out my short bow,
Okay.
and I'm going to betwang him.
All right. Go ahead and make your betwang attack.
Betwang!
Natural 20?
Natural 20. All
It
right.
is indeed. Unfortunately, there's no sneak attack.
Yeah.
I should have
roll
hidden.
Your short bow twice.
I should have
D6
hidden. Yeah.
Plus your modifier.
Should have waited.
He just like doesn't care, huh?
He's just chilling. He's hanging out.
I wish we had a Shiba camp.
Shiba camp?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, people
Always
wanna
running
see
around
it.
the house.
Yeah. Crying.
People want to see it.
It's just a fucking harness
Is
on
it-
the back that holds camera.
It's not
Yeah.
plus my proficiency bonus to the damage, right? Okay, I didn't think so. I'm making sure I have that right. 12?
12 points of damage. Easy number.
Pitiful.
So as you arc backwards, seeing this kind of effect begin to transpire, you instinctively like run off to one side to kind of get yourself some distance, and bang, and you just fire off the shot. As you do, you see it's not really paying attention to you. It's mostly focused on the other side. As the arrow sinks into its shoulder pretty heavily, it kind of rocks back for a minute, almost like losing its balance in its low crouch, and then just snaps it off and recovers, seemingly unaffected for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
That is the end of your turn.
Well, guys, we know that a 20 hits him. So.
It is at.
Start working our way down there. Investigating, attacking. I keep thinking like all we have to do is scare this thing and it'll just like,
Yeah, go straight. Straight armed.
Oh, he's getting in there.
Did he just? Oh, is he running? Oh.
Give a shit.
Oh.
So you see him, you see him like crouch down, and you're the one who called out to him. You just see him whoop and jump. And from his low crouch, he goes like just full on leap, and you can see this like sort of like
Concave sort of chest, this long spindly tail with barbs on the end of it. He has like this pot belly that's kind of like just like sitting, you know, like almost like a food kind of like baby sitting there. It has this heavy mantle of like fur, but then its arms and its legs seem almost humanoid. Its face is just that of a goat that has like the long sort of ears and then these two kind of like curled horns on either side. As it jumps, it's going to attack you, Lucrezia.
With Thundaga.
With its barbed tail.
Oh, okay.
A whack.
That's not good. That's an 8.
Nope.
Yeah. So as it lands, you just kind of like jump to one side, and the tail just lashes out, trying to reach out to you.
Okay.
That is a miss.
Okay.
however, the second one appears.
Oh no.
Oh, he's albino.
Is that a same? Is it the same thing or is that?
Yeah, they both
Wait, I only have one go
Oh,
back.
I'm sorry.
So as you
He's horn impaired.
as you see
alright.
this thing just leap through the air, easily clearing 20-something feet vertically, It just leaps through the air, both hands up. The second one jumps out of the woodwork, and this like strange, like sort of braying scream as it coasts through the air. And it is going to go after you, sir. Yeah, I'm so sorry for these things, man. That is a 23.
Yeah, that hits. You 3 for your health?
3-3.
That's
Oh, 33. Okay.
that's 23 to hit,
I
sir.
was like,
Yeah, it's like.
Can I have you make a Constitution saving throw?
Or 6
No,
seconds.
you can't, DM. 18.
18 succeeds. So let's see, make sure.
This bitch. 'Cause around here we go horde. So horde. Man.
Okay. You take 10 points of piercing damage. As it lands next to you, you see the tail just come down and just stab into the side of you. Those long barbs kind of sinking in, and you can feel something coming across, and it begins to burn inside. And as you do, you instinctively pull back and kind of like push with your hand to try to like feed some of it out, and it just kind of like this thick, viscous sort of like almost like syrupin kind of thing begins to like push out of the wound, and you manage to resist the effect of whatever that was. That is the end of its turn. Now it is. It is Tam, and I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
That is going to be a
24.
24.
Okay, so as you're standing there, you see that the ground begins to just kind of wilt. The animals seem to panic, trying to get away from it. And as you do, you feel this like pulse that almost feels like it's draining your life from you, and you kind of like steel yourself, like no, and then you feel it ease out. It is your turn. What are you doing?
Do I have an action? Okay, good. I am going to move to the one that is attacking Lucrezia.
Okay.
Thanks.
Lou, I've got some apples.
Okay.
Now, do you want to move is the question.
Do I want to be? Am I gonna? No, I'm not gonna move.
Okay.
Because if I move anyway, I'll be.
And I'll go over and help you guys out.
no, he can help you move away if you want to move away.
Oh no, I'm not gonna.
Okay. Then I am just going to do 3 attacks.
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack rolls, please.
That does not hit. I don't believe that's going to be a 10.
10 does not hit.
An 11.
11 does not hit.
So you're checking them all. 12.
12 does not hit.
It's 13 to 20. 13 to 20.
So as you run forward, drawing both weapons, and you begin lashing out, you see it kind of like artfully ducking, smacking. It's just like parrying with its like large clawed hands, tink tink tink. And it just
Are they hooves?
stares at you. Huh?
Claws.
No, they're claws.
Oh, okay.
It has normal people hands and feet.
It's not cloven.
No.
Okay, thank you.
So that is the end of your turn, sir. It is now Lucrezia. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Don't trust anything.
Yeah.
Not land.
I can handle goats.
4.
A 4?
Mhm.
You take 7 points of necrotic damage.
It's so horrible, creature.
Ah, yes, so majestic.
They're weird. I spent some time with goats recently.
Yeah.
They're so crazy.
All right.
They're rude. You know how you get them to not be rude? You have to headbutt them back. I headbutted 3 goats.
Fuck, I want to headbutt a goat now.
It's fun.
Can you wrestle them down?
I mean, do not wrestle a goat.
No one wins in a headbutt.
The goat does. Want to wrestle?
It is your turn, correct?
Okay.
Bye, bear.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do
Take
not
7
headbutt
points
their
of
head.
necrotic. You got that?
Okay.
Okay.
Headbutt
What are you
them
doing?
aside.
All right. I'm going to
If you headbutt their
hit
head,
the one
you
right
lose.
beside me with my hammer.
Okay, go
Every
ahead and make
time.
your attacks.
What we do?
Now I kind of want to do it.
Wow.
15.
15 just hits.
Ooh. Okay. So I would like to make that a trip attack.
Okay, go ahead and roll your. What is the DC that he needs?
16. It's a strength saving throw.
It's probably pretty strong.
Yeah, he rolled 18 plus
So
stuff.
does that mean I still have a die of damage? or-
Yeah, you still have the die of damage. He just doesn't get knocked prone.
And
Nice.
All the goat memes I've ever
17
seen
points
is playing in
of
my head now.
damage.
Huh?
17 points.
17 total. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Alright. And then I'm going to hit him again.
I
with
just
the
got a
hammer.
trouble.
Trouble.
No.
Okay.
That's the screaming goat
14.
in the
14
Taylor
hits?
Swift song.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay. Then.
And I'm lying on the cold hard ground.
13 points?
13 points of damage.
And then I would like to flick him really hard in the forehead for my
Okay.
It's my favorite.
19 plus 8.
That hits. Go ahead and roll damage.
27.
Thank you. 6. Wait. So 11.
11 points of damage total.
Yeah, from a flick.
All right. As you bring the hammer down for the trip attack, you swing as hard as you can. I'm assuming with both hands.
Yes.
Okay, with both hands, and as you do, you collide with the side of his legs. But you notice as soon as you hit, it immediately kind of like looks. Its arm goes down, it touches, and it just stands back up, almost like it's.
For my trip attack thing?
Yeah, it's very hard to knock them prone. They're very agile.
Oh, no,
So as you swing by, it just and it climbs back up like.
It pops up as a free action.
Yeah, and then so as the
He's a wibble wobble.
as you do that, you bring the hammer down on top of it. It goes to try to catch the hammer and just takes the brunt of it right to the side of its muzzle. And then the third one, you just bring your hand up and right in the front of its head, just like this very dramatic, almost like Bruce Lee. And it's this deafening sort of. And for a moment, you see its head kind of like cave a little bit, and it's just like, and then it falls backwards and drops to the ground.
He dead?
It died, yeah.
Jesus.
It did die. All right, that is the end of. I'm gonna go ahead.
I thought it was going to take a lot more than that.
Look at the DG
Yeah.
Joe.
What? And now he's dead too.
He just, no, he's
You
breaking
can't
it.
be knocked prone.
Apparently.
Alright, so there is the other one. Next up is Maud. You need to make a Constitution saving throw, sir.
Natural 20.
No.
Natural 20.
27.
Succeeds. Again, you feel that kind of like draining presence, and you just steel yourself, kind of like filling with that that magic that permeates most of you, and you just resist the effect. All right, that is the. What are you doing?
I'm gonna cast Petrify.
Okay, go ahead and make your attack roll, please.
That is a 22.
22 is what is the DC on there?
It is 11.
He rolled a 12, sir. Sorry about that.
Damage.
2 damage.
Yeah.
All right.
What?
So as you pull back, both hands kind of glowing in this arcane energy, you just see this sort of like point begin to form and then stab straight at it. Again, it kind of like looks at it, brings its hand up, and it just stabs in there. And there's this pulse that you see, kind of like shake its hand. That is the end of its turn. Theta, you're up, sir.
Yay! I'm gonna dance backwards about 10 feet.
Okay. I need you to make Constitution saving throw.
Save me, Constitution. That's decent. Thank you. 19.
19 succeeds.
Was it almost not for a second there?
Yeah,
You said
no,
10
it was
feet
almost an 8. Yeah, about 10 feet from where I was. I was 2 away, so yeah, 2 more. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. All right.
And then I'm up a 20.
Go ahead, make your attack roll, sir.
14.
14 hits.
Oh, hey, shit. Not a good roll. You were doing well. Don't disappoint me.
Okay, with sneak attack, because there's a guy there.
I'll be a proctor for
18?
18.
good school, motherfucker.
Oh, there's a dog on camera. Look at the dog. Give us views.
Like us, favorite us.
Get us views, buddy. Yeah, that's what people like. They
People like the
animals.
doodle. All right,
We're
so
gonna have to keep an
you
animal
you
alive.
take a couple steps back, kind of like following the wave of just energy, whatever's coming off it, and then you feel it kind of cross over you. You're like, "Watcha!" And just, unleash this this bow. It kind of strikes it in the side again. You see it in the shoulder, and just kind of like it snaps it off angrily. Its whole body just like convulsing with fury. That is the end of your turn. It's coming after you, sir.
I'd pretty mad if it didn't.
That is a solid 6 to hit.
Yeah.
So
That
as it
hits.
again, so as it snaps the arrow off, it kind of like is staring at Theta, and you get this strange feeling as the tail just comes up at you, and you pull backwards, and it seems kind of like turning towards you, almost like it didn't. It was trying to like fool you with its attack there.
Gotcha.
Who got him? That is the end of.
Weak ass Humpty Bumpty up in this.
Okay.
That is the end of its turn. I'm gonna need Tam to make Constitution saving throw, and then take your.
Shit.
Is it whenever you get close
15.
to him?
15 succeeds. Huh?
Is it whenever you get close to him?
No, if you just start your turn
Wherever.
anywhere near it,
Yeah, has a radius.
it has an area around
Oh.
Radio.
I am going to run at his back
it. Okay, you run up to him.
and then try and do 3 attacks.
Bring in the
One,
fury.
two, trois.
Okay, that one might get 15.
Correct, hits. 15, correct.
I am going to.
Incorrect.
Incorrect.
For that one, I'm going to do my last superiority die,
Okay.
and I'm going to do a maneuver. So whenever I hit it, he could move out of the way.
Maneuver. All right, go ahead and make your attacks.
Okay, that one is 11 damage for that one.
Okay.
And then the last 2, that's a natural 20 for the second
No.
attack,
That obviously misses.
and a natural 1 for the third.
Which you re-roll because you're a halfling.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That's another 15.
Okay, 15 hits. So go ahead and roll double for the second attack, and
I
then
think you're gonna kill it.
We don't know.
I don't know if a flick does it.
It's a good flick.
Yeah. Solid flick.
So that's 9. 17 points of damage.
is that both attacks or just the one?
Both attacks.
Okay. I had to make that a hard number.
Sorry.
15 and 2, bro.
We're good. I figured it out.
Is it still up?
Took me slightly. Yeah, you run through the pulse of like negative energy, whatever seems to like drain the life around it, and you just bring both weapons up. There's the flash of Marvellius as it moves through. Even the creature seems to block, and it just right through it, almost like it didn't even stop. And then your short sword lashing out. There's a moment where you falter and you almost like catch your foot, but then you just like uppercut with a quick arc slash. It seems to be like bleeding from all over, this like viscous ichor that comes out black in color, and just like it still seems to be standing.
Is that a reaction of them? Or?
Yeah, you could remove your phone movement as your reaction.
I'm not going to do that.
Aw.
All right. I mean, you still get the bonus damage regardless. I need to make Constitution saving throw, and it's your turn, Lucrezia.
Solid flick.
12.
Some fucking
12.
Mortal
I
Kombat
swear to
shit.
God, I thought that dice said 71, and I was very
You take
confused.
3 points of necrotic
It
damage.
just goes, and then the back of its head just goes.
Alright.
The brain is relocated out. Drops.
Okay. I'm gonna go move up to it.
Okay.
Does
You
the Mortal Kombat
maneuver
actually
over.
see his brain?
Going to hit it with my hammer twice.
Hammer.
21. I think.
Hits.
And second one is
13.
16.
What's your plus?
8.
Oh, yeah.
So 16.
Hits.
Oh, I thought it was plus 5.
Oh. Alright, I'll just see if it's. Okay. 7. 12 damage for the first.
12 damage for the first. Okay.
Oh, that's 9 for the second.
9 for the second. Okay.
Is it still up?
Total of 21 damage.
21 damage. It is down. So as you bring the
Devour.
no. Okay, go ahead and make a Constitution.
You get to
Gross.
do a coat
Or I'm sorry,
sound.
Constitution check. That's it.
You're just used to.
You say a 7.
7.
You throw up.
You just get a cold goat sound.
You get one horn.
Your eyes are weird.
Yeah, you have rectangular pupils now.
Every time somebody says your name, you immediately look at them.
You get
You
an
mean a
ability
can?
called Barbed Tail.
Ooh.
Reaches
You,
5 feet, 1 target, 1d12 damage, piercing damage.
Oh,
You also have the ability to eat cans now.
You no longer require protein.
My constitution's 20. I could do that already.
Oh man.
I'm not going to give you the second half of it because it is a disease effect.
Gotcha.
So
Oh my god, what? Oh wait, I didn't get it. Okay.
it just doesn't do anything
It's like,
that's
we have to worry about
combat related, and it won't really apply because
Right.
it doesn't.
It'll just make your life harder. So
It's modified. It's inadequate.
you just have really noxious farts from now on.
Oh.
They're already bad.
Room clearing. Even if we're in the forest.
Yeah, I was gonna say the effect doesn't take place for 24 hours anyway, so.
Yeah.
So if the
And it can keep saving, and yeah, it'd just be a pain in the ass if I can track for no reason. Okay, so with that being said, the secondary swing of Lucrezia's hammer, the first one kind of catching it off guard, hitting it in the horn, snaps part of it off.
Nice.
You just smash it in the side of the head, and then you step into it and just uppercut tight to the body, this very powerful upswing that kind of crushes the front of its muzzle in. And as you do, you watch it begin to tilt back and fall and drop. Okay, as you're standing there, you begin to hear.
Oh no.
You hear like these sounds. At which point, as you're kind of like standing there, and you can hear. You hear out of nowhere. You just hear, "There's one here!" And then you just hear this scramble of noises, clink of metal, and these some sort of like battle going on.
I'm gonna regroup up.
Okay.
And I would like to discreetly pick up that piece of horn that was broken.
Oh yeah, I was thinking that too.
Okay, you grab the horn, and as you do, you can see that the body of the thing begins to peel back and begins to disintegrate.
Do you want another horn?
Yeah.
I use Marvelli. This is fine.
We'll roll percent on that. See if that.
You want 100?
Give me a 50% chance.
Hey, do you want to?
100.
Sure, let's roll a d100. This might
We
work
have-
against you though, because I actually rolled like a 95. Let's go again. Woo!
You can go with a
It worked
95.
against you. It was a 49.
Oh.
It rolled exactly 40. I was just waiting for it to move again. It did not. Here, I'll put this here.
Yeah.
Keep this by me. So, as you go to swing and you lob off the other horn, you just see it kind of like turn into like almost this goo that begins to and
I
vanish.
scoop up the dirt underneath it,
Whoop.
pull it out.
Thank
Hard
you,
pass.
though.
But the one that you have in your hand seems to maintain its integrity.
Oh.
One that I have.
Yeah. So that's cool. That one.
So you managed to, however, all around you can begin to hear this sort of like, still these kind of like surprised brays of like, and they begin to like kind of make noise away from you. But you can still hear this like sickening slapping sound coming from somewhere nearby.
Oh, can I?
Sounds like there's a battle going on.
Yeah. Can I try to figure out which
We-
direction?
We'll see.
Sure. Make a perception check.
14.
I'm gonna put away my swords and pull out my crossbow instead. And head
I'm
up
going to,
wherever I think it's coming.
14? Yeah, you, as you kind of like look, you can see that the grass is moving further away. I keep slapping things.
Yeah.
I really should.
Oh, okay.
Scare the dog.
What kind of sound? Like, who comes in the house like that, Bean?
So you do hear off to the side. You hear something,
Which direction should I-
off here. Can't think
I'll
about that way.
kind of like cut my hand over my ear to here, and then I'll like snap to the group and I'll point to which way.
By this point, everyone can hear this sort
Yeah.
of like.
I'm gonna hold up my hand.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stealth and I'm gonna head that way.
Okay,
Try
go
to
ahead and
keep
make
to
a
the
stealth
brush.
check.
I'm gonna.
Do you want me to make it or do you
go
want to
out
make it?
higher, Not stealth and.
You can make it. Go ahead.
I will also stealth and follow after Theta.
Plus
Me
stealth
too.
is going to be a 23.
Okay. Then both of you go ahead and make one.
I rolled really low.
Oh,
I rolled a 13.
no. Oh, I rolled a
23.
12.
Oh,
23.
20.
20. Oh, that's good.
nice.
And then you're saying
These
it's
some
Overwatch.
quiet
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
just running out
Yeah,
and just
I can
making,
be quiet.
keeping pace with
Like,
Theta as he moves up.
Okay.
I'm
So
also I'm gonna knock an arrow.
okay. So as you guys, you all kind of instinctively just quiet down and then look at each other and then begin to move towards the sound. And as you do, you get closer. You can hear these like sort of like conversations like, "Are there any more? Did you see any? No. Where? Which way did they go? All right, just keep tight. And as you begin to move closer and closer, you begin to see these silhouettes kind of illuminated by the pools. As you see two individuals standing over the body of one of these goat creatures as it begins to disintegrate. You see them trying to like grab pieces off it, like they basically like grab an arm before it falls apart, and they're just like, damn. All right. But you do see two gentlemen. One is wearing like almost that. He has like one of those. What are they called? The feather caps, like that.
Robin Hood hat.
Robin Hood has, yeah. Except it's like seems to be made out of like some kind of leather. He's wearing like a heavy leather coat with like a breastplate on underneath. He has a battle axe on his like dangling from his hip from like a little ringlet, and he has a shield currently in his hand. This like sort of buckler on his hand. Dog attack. Next to him, you see another gentleman who is like slightly shorter than he is, but he's like kind of like rounder. He has like a bald head. Older looking gentleman. They both have like weather under their eyes. You know, that sort of like sleepy, like probably haven't slept well in a while. He's also wearing like heavy leather clothing, mostly like a jacket with and underneath you can hear this chink, chink, very faint, but it seems to be hidden beneath his clothes. He's probably wearing some kind of like chainmail or something. You right there, buddy?
Yeah.
He seems to have a bow slung, and then he has like just a knife on his hip. Just going around needing attention right now.
I'm dying.
Another man comes up from the other side, and he as he approaches, he seems like a little bit younger than the other two, and they begin conversing a little bit. They're like, I don't know, if we stay out here too long, we're probably doomed. I think we saw like 9 of them out here somewhere, so I think we just should try to get back.
From where we're at, do they look like?
Insert panic.
That's out of staff of the goat calling. Do they look like troops from Pelor? Or not Pelor, Patella?
No.
Okay.
Patella is your kneecap.
Yeah.
I thought it was a weird name for a town too.
As you guys begin stealthing up using the underbrush, being completely silent, you're the first one to notice that you just see this girl stand up, and she's wearing like a tricorn hat. She has like these deep like claws on the side of her face that kind of mar up like most of her appearance. But she has like these like almost like dead eyes that are just kind of like staring, and she seems to be sweeping. She just like sweeps past like all of you not really paying attention. She seems to have a rapier on one side. She's wearing like a long sort of like duster almost coat, and then she has like a dagger on the other side, or a short sword, and she just kind of stands there like. At which point one of the guys like leans back and he's like, Eileen, do you see anything? And she just like and just keeps her head turned.
I'm gonna freeze and make a low motion for them to all freeze too.
Okay.
I'll hold and just watch them.
She's like trying to look through like the cattails and everything, like
in the mist and.
I should have been taller.
just standing there. At which point they begin to like they seem to be scouring, looking for stuff, and they have a little cart that's drawn by 2 horses that look malnourished and a little bit like mangy, but they just kind of like, damn, all right, what were they hunting? Did we see anything that we could use as food? And they're just like, everyone's kind of like shaking their head. It's like, well, then we should head back to town. And they begin to kind of pat back up on the cart. 2 of them staying off the cart. 2 of them get on the cart, and they begin to kind of like bring the horse around, and they begin heading off further into like kind of the same direction that you guys were heading.
I would like to look for a good sized stone about this big somewhere because to just follow them, I'm gonna find something to pick up. Yeah, I'm gonna follow them.
Yeah, he's gonna find
that's what I figured.
rock or something.
And I'm just gonna palm it for now.
You said you were gonna go around and wine.
Yeah, I'm watching you guys.
He's keeping sight of us, but not who we're keeping sight of.
Yeah, okay.
Just make sure we're good.
I'm gonna look back to Tam.
Wave him up. So you come.
Alright, I'm gonna
Trunching
try
up.
stealth.
You try.
Okay, go ahead and make your stealth roll.
Lovely one. Lovely one today.
That is
12.
12. So as you kind of like begin to kind of like jog to keep up a little like ching 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 ching. You guys see that suddenly you see the woman stand up in the cart. She just like completely wheels around, like those eyes just like staring. At which point she like pads the driver. The driver kind of stands up, and then she's just like leans over, begins saying something. He kind of turns, and you see him like very quietly. Like they don't seem to notice you at all, but he's just like, and they begin to kind of fan out. At which point she climbs down very quietly, draws her scimitar or her rapier. I mean.
I'm gonna pick up the stone that I have, and I'm gonna throw it about try to get about 40 feet in, like, because I assume that they're going this way, and we're like pursuing off this way. I'm gonna throw it that way.
Okay. Towards them.
No, on our line, but opposite the side of the cart from where on. Like,
Okay.
you know, like if the cart's in front of us.
Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check.
Yes. Sleight of hand. That's not great. However, it's a 9.
9.
I rolled a 2.
They're all aware, but they're all humans, so they all have disadvantage on
Oh,
it.
okay.
The first one does not notice where it came from. That's cut.
Hello, Mr.
The
B.
second one does not seem to notice.
Roll initiative, B. Got it.
Third one didn't seem to notice.
Hi.
I think you're very Dexy though, so.
And
Leave it at.
as you throw it, you kind of like lob it over and you watch. There's a little eye just kind of peering out. And you see 3 of them kind of like look to one way, and then the guy who seemed to be like talking the most kind of like wheels around, at which point the woman is just staring at you.
Oh no.
Not like she doesn't see you, but she's
Oh.
staring
My
in your
position.
direction. And the other ones are all kind of like wheeling towards the sound. Keep it tight. And they kind of like move in together, like trying to like
just
see what's
frozen.
going on. She's just
I'm-
staring, like very suspiciously of your direction.
I'm gonna shut down every internal process that I have and just fucking.
Oh
Theta turns off.
no. Oh no.
I imagine like the
sleep
Peter
mode.
Griffin dink, just like falls out.
Little
Well, it's more. It just goes from living thing to statue.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I don't need to blink. I don't need to breathe. I don't need to any. So just.
All right. So you freeze up.
I'm
What's
just
the plan?
gonna put my crossbow away and just stand in the fucking
Just like
I'm owning what I did.
just stand there so you're not making any noise.
I'm gonna. Can I see the caravan or the cart?
No, it's too far away. You have trees, you have brush, you have everything in the way. You can kind of make out where they are when they go down, but even their stealth check's pretty high. But you know where they went, but you don't know what they're looking at. You did hear everything. It's pretty safe to assume that they see someone or something. Completely plausible. That's why you're just like waiting to see if it's like no one's throwing anything yet, no one's fighting yet. You're just like, okay, what's going on here? So what? Yeah, what's the plan, gentlemen?
Follow whenever they move.
Standing dead still.
Yeah. So.
That is my plan for the moment.
Okay.
I'm an odd-colored rock.
I search through my bag and pull out the staff of bird calls.
Okay.
Girl, no.
And I'm
Oh,
gonna
girl.
do the first one. I'm gonna do a loon
I don't know
call.
what pleases.
Okay.
This is thank
And
you.
the second one, the secondary loon call, and then just.
Sink it down, thank you.
Okay. As you do that, you see
I'm
the
already down.
one, or you don't see, but you guys can see the one gentleman with the bow. Kind of like he looks, that he smashes the other guy's shoulder, and he's like. At which point they kind of like all turn, even like the dead-eyed lady's just like,
Please don't be the Griffins.
and then they
Or the
start to
T-Rex.
no, they think they call. They begin kind of like heading towards it, like trying to find it.
Okay.
Loons working carrots.
Made a
So,
bird call. Birds
What
of food.
are you guys doing? They seem to leave their cart there, but they
Yeah, I kind of want to look at the cart.
Yeah,
I don't take
I'm
anything.
gonna wait for them to clear. Are they coming
Yeah,
directly
yeah.
towards me?
no, they're moving away. They're moving towards the calls.
Okay.
They seem to be trying to hunt.
I'm gonna hold until they're at least past me out of sight. You know what I mean? Like
Kid.
even distance. And then once they get clear, I'm gonna head towards the cart.
He's very
Okay.
bold today.
So you wait a couple minutes, and they begin to kind of move away.
Line of sight with him again.
I'm just gonna
No,
kind of hunker down between cattails and go.
All right, so you hunker down. You guys moving up to the cart?
I'm gonna wait.
I'm moving up to the
Yeah.
cart.
I'm gonna say you hang out and Theta go up and check.
Okay, go ahead and make a stealth check again, please.
Yep.
We need to watch it. Something happened.
Hey, that's a much better stealth check. That's gonna be a 29.
29. You staying low. You just kind of slowly begin to move up. You can hear them rustling far off, in kind of like hushed voices as they try to like confer.
I'm gonna listen towards the cart too, see if I can hear it breathing, like somebody sleeping or somebody waiting or anything. Attending.
As you approach, you see that on the back of the cart, as you begin to approach, is
Oh, does he need to go out?
Oh, he's.
Oh.
Oh, he's having a bad time.
Oh no, he's gonna
That's
rail.
what it was.
That's probably why.
Dog barf.
Oh.
Ooh. Anyway.
We promise we're not hurting.
It's like a
the
goat
dog.
sound.
That's a terrible sound. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh,
So,
he's holding on.
So.
Jeez.
That's so rough.
Just keep talking.
Okay, just-
What? You should have just let him drop on the
So,
floor.
you guys, you move up to the cart. The first thing you notice is that there seems to be almost like a horsing thing in the back of the cart, and as you approach, which is a little weird, you notice it's missing all of its skin, and as you look, you don't see any like pelts or anything hanging off the cart or anything. It just seems to be a skinned horse, and as you kind of walk up, you notice there's not really anything else in the cart. There seems to be a couple bags, like small sacks that are just kind of like in there. The two horses don't seem spooked by your presence. In fact, one of them almost kind of seems to be like
Oh, no.
labored. At which point you begin to look at the thing that's on the back, and it seems to be missing like the front part of its face. The top of its head is like a skull. The bottom of it is all skinned, and it's just kind of like on its side. It doesn't have any eyes. You're not really sure what the deal is with it.
Breathing?
No, it's just laying there like.
Wait, is this one of the horses drop? Like...
You do see as you kind of like look even through the skin and like the sort of like seeping blood that just kind of like comes out of it. It has marks in it as if it's been stabbed or shot repeatedly.
Huh.
And so you're like, what the hell is this thing? But you've never seen a thing like this before. And it's just kind of like laid sideways in the cart.
Okay.
Can I take a quick moment to just like gently rustle the bags and see what kind of noise they make?
As you push them over, they seem to be like personal sacks.
Okay,
they
not
seem-
like full of one particular thing, just full
No,
of stuff.
they're like full of
Cool.
their stuff.
You there with me?
Yeah. Oh no, I stood with
Okay,
my
good. I would like to crawl underneath the cart,
Okay, so you crawl underneath it.
and I would like to look at the bottom of the cart and see if there's a place that I can hold on.
Yeah, you can hold on to the axles, but they're gonna move.
It's what I mean.
It's like a
I mean,
traditional, but
that's
not very well.
No, there's not. I mean,
You can grab onto the axles. They're just gonna
that's a
spin.
bad plan.
They're just gonna spin is all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, it's not.
And it's gonna slow down the cart. All kinds of stuff.
That's-
No, there's not like an obvious place to four corners hold yourself up.
Okay.
No.
If
But
that's-
as you're sitting there, you hear rustling as they seem to be returning.
Shit.
Just roll up and go.
Creepy.
Can I see where they're returning from? Can I see their feet at the back?
You can see the grass moving. They're about to come in view here in a second. Yeah. The grass isn't high enough for you. You'd be able to see them if you were not underneath the cart, but you see them coming closer and closer.
Okay.
And you see a foot come out from behind the thing. You see a couple feet come out, and they begin kind of like. They seem to be lamenting mostly, like, damn, that'd have been a good meal. Haven't had one of those in a while. One day, and they begin to kind of like clamber back on the cart, one at a time. Two of them kind of climb up. The other two kind of like stand there. They stop for a minute and talk. They seem to be talking about mostly just like, well, we got this thing. Hopefully we can see how many people we can feed with this. Otherwise, I have to go hunting again. All right, rally up. Let's go. Let's get out of here. And they begin trying to move the cart out of the way, and you just kind of like sink down.
My
Or you gonna
plan
move
is
with
to
it?
move with the cart.
Okay.
See if I can keep up. I don't know how fast the horses will move.
They're
but
not moving it. They're moving it like just a slow trot.
That's what I figured. I'm gonna go to all fours and keep pace with the cart underneath it.
Alright, if he follows the cart, we're gonna give them a good 60 feet and then follow after.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just waiting until.
They're giving you like hand and arm signals.
Yeah.
They mean nothing.
Yeah.
We established nothing. Don't forget the cart.
I don't know. Butterflies.
The cart. The axe.
Our
beak.
cart?
Yeah.
Once
Don't worry.
once we start following Fate on the cart, we'll flag Tam over to us.
That was like 100-something gold fucking
Like,
bird.
So they motion for you to go get the cart, and then you grab the cart and you go back. Hi, buddy. So you guys begin following them through the thick. As they go, they seem to be
well,
pretty adept at
are we waiting for
navigating.
Tam and telling Tam anything first?
Yeah. He told Tam. Come on.
To follow
and so
us?
he went and got the cart.
Oh, he's getting in the cart right now?
Yes. Oh my word.
Oh my
But yeah, you seem to follow along like at a slow pace. It's not moving very fast. They seem to be trying to avoid putting any serious stress on the horses, as you can tell. They move at a slow pace, and they begin to.
What happened? You got hair in your eye? Oh no.
Oh
Do you
no.
want to go inside?
Well, Mom, where's my eye patch now? Because I'm gouging this shit out.
Oh no. So you guys travel along with it. You're gonna follow it all the way until it reaches town. Okay.
Yeah. I think so. Right now, Tam is grabbing the cart and taking it.
Yeah, he's taking it behind y'all. All right, let me just grab my little thing here. So, Theta, as you stay underneath, is there anything else you'd like to do while you're waiting?
You are staying?
You just trudging along. Anything? Okay. So you guys begin to follow along, and it takes probably about like 4 hours of following these people. I will need you guys to make another stealth check to see if you can maintain it for the whole time.
Nope.
Come on.
You need to make one?
Yes, please.
You guys don't have to roll.
Hey, 28.
28. Okay.
I rolled a natural one. Second.
Natural Uno.
Roll.
13.
13. Okay.
Whee!
It is us.
I just had a dastardly idea that would be
What happened to you?
bad.
You right there, little buddy? You okay, old man? He's like, yeah, I'm good. Had to get it out. So, but you find yourselves following along. What was yours?
28.
So, as you follow along, there's a couple moments where you make a little bit of noise, and you see them kind of perk up on the cart and like stare. The gentleman with the bow is currently sitting on the back, and he's just kind of like watching. He has an arrow knocked already, and he's just kind of like waiting as they kind of like roll through. The lady's just got her one hand on her dagger, just kind of like keeping an eye out, trying to focus. But they seem to move at a slow pace, and you're the first one to see the bottom edge of little huts, houses, hovels that are caved in, partially destroyed. This area, as you cross through the ground, is mostly stamped earth that seems to be fighting against vegetation and growth of whatever strange vegetation lives in this area. But the ground is pretty well rutted out into like a solid flat surface with occasional like almost like weeds that seem to sprout up in like their weird voluminous style. But you see these caved little homes, and there has to be less than 20 as you look, and you see there's like 1 or 2 people walking around. They seem older, in old clothing, just like hoods up, and they trudge very slowly through the city, almost zombie-like, as they just like meander through. At which point, people begin coming out as the 4 of these individuals hit town, and they jump down off the cart, and they're like, "All right, where's the butcher? Let's just see if we can't carve this thing up. We didn't get a lot, everyone." And people start like coming out like trying to get food from these guys, and they're just like, "We didn't get a lot, so get the kids first, however many few there are here, and let's just get this over with." And they kind of take the cart. They only take like 3 houses in, and there's like a large sort of what was probably like maybe like a town hall or something, kind of like this prominent building that seems to be like partially collapsed. There's holes in the roof. There was a staircase that went up to a second level that's long dilapidated and just like kind of like caved off to the side. You can see through the walls from like these holes that are in it, and they begin like unloading, and they try to unload this carcass, and they're like, "Hey, give us a hand here." And a couple of the villagers seem to come out, and they weakly lift it off and then begin bringing it inside, at which point another gentleman walks out, and he's got like a rusty looking meat cleaver, and he just like heads inside and begins to kind of like work his way through it, taking off the limbs of it. They cut the head off, and people don't seem very appetized by the thought of whatever this thing was, and they're just like, "It's the only thing we could find." And they just kind of like
as they pull the carcass away and they're butchering it, I assume it's off to one side of the cart.
They're not butchering it offside of the cart. They actually parked the cart, and they've gone inside this building.
Okay,
You're
cool.
the little like village scattering of houses it's just an X. There's a road that you're on that seems to go towards like a bigger house further in, and then there's a cross street. But there's like the houses are all really far apart. They seem to have like little yards. Some of them do these like little old fences, and they're overgrown with moss, vegetation, and vines that just seem to like sprout from nowhere and continue. But that is what you're looking at. You're looking at.
I'd like to try and sneak away and go Like, so if they parked it next to the house or in front of it, I want to try and find an opening where I don't see any people at the moment, and try to make my way around and through cover and kind of loop around these houses back out to the outside of the city.
Okay.
Where I know they'll be coming up.
So you wait very patiently for a minute. You see the feet begin to move around. And as you go to, you slide under the cart and you begin to move away, you turn around to see like a little girl just. And then you just like keep walking. She's just like.
No one will believe her.
And then she just.
Alright, Bill Murray.
She doesn't even react. And then she just like starts walking towards the.
I'm gonna move
Must be the hunger hallucination.
I'm gonna move as quick as I can to get out. I saw a little round person made of metal.
Yeah, okay, Mary, whatever.
Yeah. So you make your way around. You cut through in between, kind of using some of the gaps. But there's only like 3 houses here. As you turn to the left, you basically cart around back the way you came, behind what appears to be like a dilapidated residence, and then you run past another one before heading out towards back into the actual like heavy wood area.
I'm gonna get to clear cover, and I'm gonna wait there for them to show up.
Okay. You guys follow along and ultimately end up seeing the same thing, except from your perspective, you can only see about a couple of houses through the trees that enter into this like clearing area. And from here, it just looks like a ratty old village. They don't seem to have any like lamps or street lights, and it seems mostly illuminated by the glowing moss and vegetation that's here.
Once we start seeing it, we're gonna stop short.
Okay.
So if like we see it at like 120, we're just gonna end it there.
Okay, so you just kind of like stop. Keeping your eyes open, you do ultimately see a skittering Theta make his way back in towards the thing, back towards the tree line.
Alright, we'll hang out here until Theta gets back.
I'm gonna head to them.
Okay, so you guys group back up.
That's my goal.
Was it okay to leave the griffins back there? Was it okay to leave the griffins back there?
I went and grabbed everything. If they followed me, then they followed me.
They follow the cart.
They
Yeah.
follow? Okay.
They know where the food is.
No, they leave. They're gone forever.
No.
All your hard work.
They got murdered by goats when you weren't looking.
Yeah.
Bach.
Or meow. We're not 100% sure.
Do we have a map of this area? No.
And you do remember the map that you did see
Okay.
with everybody?
Wasn't it just
Oh, you didn't see the map, but they saw the map. It
Oh,
was just
I
a
saw the map
darkened in.
then.
It was a darkened in area. Oh yeah, that's right. You went
Yeah.
back.
Lou was making one?
No.
Oh, no,
No, I'm curious about landmarks and anything. Does anyone know this area back before when it was a land where people lived? Was there a time when that happened?
To my understanding, it's been the cursed lands for.
Okay, well this appears to be an established village,
Right.
and the thing that surprises me is it just seems to be a village. There's no military presence. There don't seem to be any guards. It just seems to be a group of people living in a shithole.
Well, supposedly they intended to settle this area and they lost contact with the village.
Well, I understand, but we didn't. I mean, we're not that far in, and I can't believe that people wouldn't set out and try to escape at this point.
I mean,
Unless there's a reason they're here.
we faced some trials and tribulations. I mean, those goat things, the zombies. There's a chance that they may have tried to leave and lost a lot of people and decided it was easier just to stay here and suffer.
You ultimately catch up. You can see them all kind of grouped off, and you.
Well,
Hey, brought your bird cats.
they appear to be starving.
Right, which begs the question: should we?
I'm gonna leave this cart here. Then.
That's
I
my
figured you
question.
left it and
My
No, I don't.
so
I'm not bringing it anywhere near that village.
I have-
They're starving.
I have a couple of ideas.
Or we're
One
definitely being
one is that we
Yeah.
don't stop. However, the problem with not stopping is there's a road.
Yeah.
So this road goes into town and hits a house. It looks like it was a nice house once. And then there's another road that crosses it at a perpendicular. And I don't know left or right on that road. I don't know where it goes. We could scout it. We could circle outside the village and scout it. There's a chance we might run into something and make a bunch of noise fighting it.
false.
But so we could avoid the village and we could go that way. We could go into the village and ask them for help and not tell them what we're doing. We could tell them what we're doing. And then the other option is that we could pose as merchants and
Yeah.
hide some of our weaponry and see if these people have any money or something that they're willing to part with in order to give them some supplies and to better their station. or we could go in charitably and give them supplies to better their station, and think we have some spare food around.
Honestly, I think we were a fair bit underprepared coming out here. So we do have some food, but it wouldn't be very much that we could spare.
Hmm.
No, we have enough for us and Rupert.
I don't really know how any of that works. I believe you. So, I do have another option. I used a gambit that I am okay with when I went out to get some information in town. And I posed as myself because people are confused by me. And I pretended to be completely dissociated with anything else. And they seemed to buy it. And I could go out as a cartography automaton.
We were saying like he's a historian or something.
Yeah, and I could go out and ask them for information on the maps and say that I'm sent out and I don't require any supplies. So hopefully that might work, but that might be an option.
Here's what I'm thinking. We can go in because from what we saw, they didn't appear to be troops. So there's a fair chance that we have a mix where they did dump her out here and she managed to find some kind of settlement. I mean, we are looking for somebody, and I don't think they're associated with the people that may or may not have put her out here.
If they put her out here, wouldn't they have people out here to keep her here?
That would be my assumption.
Exactly. So if they did dump her out here, they may have known about the hazards and been like, we don't have to.
There's no way she's gonna make it back.
There's no better prison than the prison you put yourself in.
I do have one question.
Is that loud?
Why are there demons out here?
Demons?
It's called the Curse Lands. I assume there's a reason.
Yeah, but I mean, well, they might be devils. I don't know. I just know where I'm from. If you kill a devil or a demon, they go back to wherever they're from.
It's like a curse on the bodies or something.
I think that me going in as a cartography automaton is probably our best bet, because then if I find out nothing, we've revealed nothing. But if I find out something, you could be the people running me and could be invited in later.
My only concern with that is we don't know where they're from or how long they've been here.
No.
If the Tinkerers Guild didn't exist, you would set them off and they may attack and kill you before we can do anything to help you. I think we should approach charitably.
Or we could say that
you have 25 pounds of meat for your.
They don't need to know that.
Well, or we could say that we were the kingdom is looking at taking this land over, and we're scouts to see what kind of shape this is in before they.
We don't have any official documents.
We don't have any official documents, and if these are the people that are hiding that queen, they would know that no one official would have sent us out here.
All right.
Does that make sense?
That's true, yeah.
You know?
All right. I don't like it, but I think we should go with the Theta Bot idea. Walk in, pretend to be some kind of creature from the Tinkerers Guild, tell them you're mapping the area, and just try to learn whatever you can. Why they're here, where they came from.
Maps, directions, lore.
Yes.
What's wrong with this place?
Well, keep it to cartographical.
Well, he knows it's the
Cursed
Lands, right?
But Cursed Lands, and maybe if they have a why about it, I can find that out too.
I think it's probably the goat people. You saw them during the combat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know, but they might have more information on that because they've been out here for longer than we have, certainly, and who knows how much longer. But they're already starving,
wolves
so.
And stuff too.
Yeah,
I bet you one of them can lead out there.
Probably not.
Okay.
That's what I want to know. Where they specifically came from. If they're from Vital, or if they've been born out here, raised out here from one of the failed attempts to colonize. If we can figure that out, then we can determine whether they're foes or friends.
Fair.
And see if maybe there's any other towns out here, or if this is the only one.
Okay. I'm going to go to the cart, and I'm going to start taking off equipment.
Okay.
Keep something on you that you can signal for us.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah, do your boomstick thing.
Yeah, I have that. Yeah, that if something explodes, something's gone wrong.
They're like, wait a minute.
So I'm going to stow the axe, and I'm going to take off my armor.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh.
Should I see this? I don't.
You're
So,
gone.
Oh, boy.
That's what
I have an
it
NPC
is.
AC.
Should we
10
stay
ten
here
plus
then, or
dex.
should we go a little further in?
What?
Because
10 plus dex for your armor class.
I'm gonna.
Oh, is that what it always is?
Yeah.
If
I
you're
thought
not
that's
wearing
what-
armor.
I thought that's what the armor did.
No, just in general, 10 plus dex.
Oh.
No, the
well,
armor kicks that 10 up to stuff, and then you add your dex.
Oh, then my
Some
AC has been
armor.
wrong for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
You were-
you're wearing just leather armor, it's 11 plus your dex.
Okay, so I'm only one off my AC.
Okay.
But cool.
Still,
Okay, well
who
that's
knows?
that's what I've been rocking with in the
Yeah.
fights. I'm okay with going like that. Jeez.
Throw it off angrily.
Take off
But
the
strangely
beanie,
is an
Okay.
effective
fold
as
it
I
nicely,
Nicely.
put it in the back
Okay.
of the cart. Do we have non-perishable food?
with
Rations?
some rations.
Rations?
I
Do you,
have-
do you want to bring it in? Is that
Uh,
I have
yes.
rations.
Okay.
I've got like,
I-
a bunch of rations.
If I can gather 3 rations,
I can give you 3.
I can't give you any.
I
That's
have
fine.
12 rations.
perfect.
So how many of them do you want?
3.
Just 3?
Yes.
I gotta feed Rupert.
That's fine. Well, you rations. I gotta
Gift
go
if I
feed
need
the
it.
bird.
I don't like
It's
this.
just hardtack. It's like bread.
I'm kind of excited about it. I like meeting new people. Plus, I'm pretty quick. And
Has my griffin eaten enough for the day or no? Because I know it was like starving. But I fed it
Oh,
as
your
soon as it
young
came
griffin?
back.
If you
Yeah.
if you fed it as soon as it came back, yes, then it's not going to be
It's only-
starving.
It's only 1 day. Oh, it's not. Okay.
But it's still going to keep its exhaustion until it takes a rest,
Yeah, yeah.
long rest.
I'm gonna unhook Rupert, so
Just we have to.
let me know.
Yeah.
so,
You fucking Cled, just jump on it with a fucking house.
That'd be tight.
Okay.
I'd watch that build. Yeah. Okay, what's happening?
I'm going to keister my daggers
Should
and
one of
that
us
tomahawk.
Okay.
But I'm
go, like,
gonna
not like
pretty
follow-
much leave
We're gonna
everything else.
Post up out here.
Oh, and my thieves'
Wait.
tools. I'll bring that. This
I don't
my
like
room,
it,
right?
but we don't want to risk sending him in and then one of us getting caught and it'd be a
Pretty
mess.
stealth.
Hmm?
Pretty stealth.
But I'm walking in,
Yeah. Okay.
waving a flag.
There's no way to follow.
That's,
Okay.
that's the plan. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Wish me luck.
Shriek and explode something with him running.
Oh,
Yeah,
don't worry. I'll
there you
make
go.
plenty of noise and come screaming out, and
Okay.
and I will kill them if they try to kill me first.
Try to leave one of them
It's
off.
not like they're gonna eat you. You don't have meat on you.
Oh,
They don't know that. He could be a delicious gooey.
Okay.
there's Balvin.
Or you got one. Okay.
Hold this for me.
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna
Keeping
move the cart
this-
off the road a little bit just so we're not like obviously hanging
Seriously.
out.
I'm gonna put this stuff in the bag for now. Okay.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
pop up against
no,
the tree.
just
Have a bag
put
of
it on the
holding.
back of the cart.
Oh.
So if I come running back, I
Oh, I
can
can get it
grab
really
the
quick.
things I need. This one in particular.
Alright.
Um,
Can I
I'm
check it?
gonna take care of Rupert.
I'm
let him
gonna
rest.
keep those.
Yeah. Same thing on the bird.
'Kay.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna
You're gonna feed them.
no, I'm gonna leave these.
Our griffin meat's very tender.
You're just handing me like bags and stuff.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
handing things. I'm
Balance
keeping my boots on.
'Kay.
Yeah, I'm keeping my
Do you want
boots
me to
on.
at least keep this out and then put all this stuff in the bag for now?
Sure.
Okay.
Keep him
I
off.
wouldn't. No, I wouldn't
Oh, they're
put
just silent boots that
this
say everything.
or this in the bag of holding.
I'm here.
I think that's a
Oh,
bad
okay.
plan. I don't know how they
Nails.
work precisely, but I think
Yeah.
putting them in there would be a bad
I'll
plan.
put this stuff
Oh, bag of tricks.
in case.
Throw one out. My bag of tricks was a D8.
Yes.
Yes.
2.
2.
You're like, here, wait.
What?
Too bad they can't eat it.
I mean, who says they can't eat it? Maybe it just disappears from their stomach at dawn.
Pretty sure.
Is that your guard, whatever?
Pretty sure
it's
if we
gonna
kill
be?
it, it
Oh, dude.
This is a
my
creature
traveling
I
companion,
befriended on the
Larson.
way.
Well, it depends on what it is.
It's a bird.
Then I hand you back the bag of tricks
Okay.
as this thing goes
On the cart.
just horribly mangled, warped.
Turtle.
Shit. I will write you. This is gonna take forever.
I think this is my guard turtle. It snaps. It's a sea turtle.
Don't touch its
It's
face.
tan, correct?
What?
Yes, the bag.
Tan, yes.
And it was a 2
2.
and 8.
An 8!
There you go. That's your
Okay.
barmaid.
I'm gonna take the ape's
Stats are in
I'm
there.
gonna take the ape's face in my hands and say, what was his name? Mark?
I don't know.
I can't remember his name.
Tony.
Mark. It's
I
Mark.
thought it was Tony.
Yeah,
Tony.
that's
It was Tony. Thank you.
Okay.
And the guy's face go, Tony. I want you to wait at the edge of town, and if you hear an explosion, come running in and hit anybody who's not me.
Or us.
Or
Oh,
yeah, or these ones, I guess.
As you say that, it goes.
I guess.
You start screaming and fighting, and in the distance you hear ow, ow, ow.
Well, no, we get into the fight, and then suddenly this ape comes out of nowhere and just punches
Cock
Maw.
somebody. Yeah, right. All right. So, what are you doing?
And I'm gonna tell him to stay out of sight. Stay
Okay.
out of sight.
It just stays with the group, yeah.
You wanna try a different animal?
Is it not
Because
in
this
there?
starts at bat.
I have it then here. It's fine.
That's weird. But
I'll
There's
worry
no
about
A's.
the state.
Some of them are like-
stats.
Monkey. No, I don't see a monkey either. Gorilla. I don't see a gorilla.
Oh yes, gorilla.
No.
Nah, it should,
Gorilla, lovely animal.
it should definitely be ape, so I think that's only in the monster.
Ape, ape,
I
ape.
got it. I got it here. No big deal.
I believe you.
what about
Cool. I don't care. All right.
Okay.
riding horse?
Continue down goal.
No, I'm gonna take my boots off,
Okay.
Oh god.
and I'm gonna put them on the cart.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense for me to be wearing them. I can't. That's silly.
All
Let's hope these guys aren't like Philadelphia and destroy this fine robot.
Also, people steal shoes. I've heard that in the slums district, they will knock you down and take your shoes, and I like those shoes.
Are
Okay.
these magical?
Okay. Yes, they are.
Everything in that stack I handed you is magical. Every
Well,
single
I'm gonna put
thing.
these shoes on while he's doing that. I'll come
Just
back
put
to
'em
you.
on.
I just want to put them on for now.
Slut monkey, I
No, no,
swear
no.
to God,
Oh my
I
God,
will
I'm
cut
not
your
gonna
feet
steal from
off
you.
with them to
I
get
just
them
want to
back.
like walk around quietly because
Does it require attunement or no?
it doesn't say.
Oh, if you break 100 feet without your attuned items, they do break attunement.
Fine.
Okay, I just wanted you to know because it will take another short rest or a
The
long
only
rest
thing
to
that
get
is
it
the sword
back.
and this and that one.
There you go.
It doesn't look like anything.
Okay,
else on the
so you begin walking towards town.
Naked. I'm gonna double check, make sure I didn't leave anything stupid on, like like rings or weapons or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
card. Can I try to climb a tree while we're in the? Is there trees to climb or no?
Grab your clothing.
How did those even?
Writing and paper. Writing and paper.
Oh, I'll give you a piece of paper. What do you want me to do?
Nothing.
like
I
official
want-
thing?
No, I just
Oh, you
want
want
a piece of paper.
Okay, paper.
And I'm writing it. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna fold
Roll it up
Yeah, roll
like
it
a
up.
map.
And then tuck it under my arm.
You want to use the map I've been using? I've been making?
She has been drawing a map
Yeah. It's from like here, from where we started to here.
from Battelle all the way to.
I'm gonna roll both of those things up.
Okay.
So I have the blank paper and the map.
Okay.
I mean, no promises.
Oh, jeez.
So
the
you
map is not
begin.
as important as my life.
You begin heading towards the part
Stuff
town.
my stuff.
Okay.
Zero attempt to be stealthy. Zero anything like
Okay.
that. Walking right down the main
Okay.
road, and I'm going to. I'm making a beeline for that main big house.
Are boots tried in the?
Striding and springing.
No. It's
No, they are silent
boots
tread.
of silent.
Why? What do you want them for?
Because I don't know if it requires a tune.
I would have written it down if it did.
It does not then.
Is it his writing?
This is not my handwriting.
Oh, I don't know.
It's me.
Okay.
So anyway,
My handwriting looks
as you strut in, everyone else waits in the wings. Okay. Theta, as you approach the village, you notice that there's a small congregate around the building that you saw earlier. People seeming to wait for bits of whatever this thing was that they seem to be carving up and dishing out to people in the smallest of chunks, and they very weakly take their bit and they walk back to whatever home they call theirs. At which point, as you begin to approach, there's a couple people kind of perk up, and a couple of them look inwards and they're like, hey, something's coming.
I'm not looking at them. I'm looking at the big house.
Okay, as you do that, you notice that one of the gentlemen that you saw earlier kind of steps out. He pops his head around the corner. At which point he's like, guys, get out here. And a couple of them begin kind of rounding the corner. You see him. He kind of takes lead, and a couple of people seem to look to him in some sort of leadership capacity as he just kind of rounds out. It's the same guy with the battle axe and the shield, and he kind of it's not really nonchalant. He preps the shield and he slides it on, and he's like,
Okay.
as he just in we're talking old school Wild Wild West. He stands in the middle of the street,
good,
just
perfect,
and he's just kind of
I'm
hail.
looking. Oh, and then I'll stop. Hello.
Okay.
My name is 019. I am a cartography automaton. I am here to map. How are you?
I've seen better days.
Lovely. Would you care to tell me about this area? And I'm going to pull out my maps and stuff and start unrolling them, and then walk over to him with the maps.
As you start approaching, he's looking, and there's this you hear this little sound. At which point you see that the female who's kind of like perched. We say perched, but she's looming on the side of the building, just kind of like staring at you. She clicks the side of her mouth, and the other guy seems to knock like 4 arrows simultaneously, and he's just kind of like holding them, like staring nervously.
Doing my damnedest not to pay any attention to them.
They seem to be in like a defensive, and the guy's just kind of like stopping. And as you present the map, he looks at you, he looks at the map, and he's like,
what is the name of this city?
"Welcome to Barren."
Baron. How do you spell that?
Barron.
Okay.
I don't know how you got here.
Oh, what?
Well, I'm sorry for your loss. But he like looks around. He's like, I don't know if you need food or anything.
No.
We ain't got much. But find a house and set yourself up. And then he kind of like takes a step back and begins kind of like taking a couple steps back from you. And like he's like eyeing everybody. They're all still kind of like staring at you. And he's like, good luck to you.
I'm not here to stay. I plan to return.
He has the smile. Yeah, that's what we're all trying to do, kid. And then he just turns away from you.
Who lives in this house?
He turns and he looks.
The
matron lives there.
Matron?
Yeah.
Where do these roads go? My map.
He points, and you notice that the road that leads into town, it's only stamped from the town entrance to the house.
That third house?
There's no road beyond it. And then he's like, and he points to the other one. He's like, that one? Nowhere. That road goes nowhere. That mountain? That goes nowhere. Over there? Goes nowhere. You live here now, buddy.
No, I live at my owner's house.
All right, well, hopefully your owner didn't follow you. And then he turns and walks away. At which point he's like, carry on, let's get this distributed and get it out of the way.
All right, I'm going to do some busy work around town. I'm going to make it look like I'm noting things down.
Okay.
You
I'm
probably
going to
are,
go.
though.
I'm a little bit. I'm doing my best to flush out the map that's there and just like
I'm
add
sure, like,
to.
as a theta, though, you'd be like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
curious and get into it.
Is that an explosion?
I'm going to roll it up, and I'm going to go to the matron's house.
Okay, so you head up to the,
Yes.
as you start approaching the matron's house, there's a, hey.
Me?
Yeah, you turn around and you see the one guy. He's still talking with like a group of people, but as he sees you going, what are you doing?
I was going to talk to the matron. She lives in the biggest house in most cities I go to. That's important.
Yeah, it's just because that's the one she took. She's
Oh.
no more in charge than anyone else here.
Oh,
She was just
all right. I need to map surrounding area. I will be back.
Have fun.
Okay. And I'm going to head back out the way I came.
He just walks out.
I don't know.
I wouldn't go out after dark. Anything you kill out there just walks again.
I haven't had to kill anything so far. And I'm going
Count
to walk
yourself
away
lucky.
and leave him puzzled at that.
Yep.
Did okay on my
Did
deception.
you say anything that's killed after dark walks again, or just anything that's killed?
He says anything that's killed walks again after dark.
Okay. Scary.
Okay, so you head back out of
Yeah.
town. You notice that a couple of them watch you, but they ultimately kind of like, as you leave, they're just like,
Yeah,
whatever.
come back to you guys.
But he returns after about an hour.
Time is
So
up.
I will.
You don't know. It's been dark the whole time you've been here.
Oh.
The rolling
I'm going to
clouds
open
above.
this up and then see them spinning again and go,
So when you first entered, you remember that there was rolling clouds over top, like this sort of like perpetual thundercloud. But as you've moved further in, not only have the clouds gone, but it almost looks like twilight. Like you could, if you look through the peeping clouds, you could see stars. But it's always like that. It just never seems to leave.
During did that count as a short rest while we were just
No.
there?
no,
Okay.
just an hour.
It's just an hour.
Okay. I want to go like 40 feet from our car and try to climb those boots off.
Yeah, successful. You gotta check anything.
Okay. And then I'll come down. And
You're
I'll
like,
take
nailed
I'll
it.
take the boots off. When I'm up in the tree, though, do I see any part of the village or no?
You can see bits and pieces. Yeah, you
Okay.
guys are only like 120 feet away.
All right, then I'll take the boots off and put them with the rest of the stuff in the cart. That's
Okay.
Cool.
Alright.
That's it.
Are you gonna come back in town covered in all your gear? Like, no, that was my brother that talked.
No, I'm saying,
And the hunter.
have you seen a rogue bot that looks like me?
Yeah.
He's got it in his head that he's a cartography robot. We need to take him back for
His
parts.
programming is faulty.
All right. So you regroup with the guys.
Give me an eye patch. Fuck, I only have one eye.
Give me half an eye.
Damn you.
You just take chalk and put 5 o'clock shadow on himself.
Where is he? I'm
Put
chasing
like a
him
little
down.
scar on there for some reason, like a little dent.
No, it's just a fucking scar through his eye
But,
and an eye patch next to
but
it.
how is this scar? Is it like
No, it's just drawn on.
All
it.
right,
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna come back.
I have a disguise kit?
So
You want me to disguise you?
I can disguise myself, thank you.
Oh, you have one too.
I'm fucking amazing at it.
Okay.
I can look like any Modron that you can believe.
That's true. It's
And
easy.
probably
'cause
a
it's
Watch as I
monsters.
change my nose. I don't have a nose. Watch as I close my mouth. So I'm gonna come back to the cart, and I'm immediately gonna start putting my gear back on, all of it, and grab my boots. Look at them. Look at you. Look at that. Put my boots back on.
Why are you looking at me? Are they still warm?
I don't know.
I just feel like they were touched in a weird way.
And as I'm strapping up, I'm gonna relay back to you guys. So that was a very strange experience. They don't. It's not like any other village I've been to. They, from what I can infer, they seem stuck here. Like they can't leave. He told me that I live here now. He said, pick a house, settle down. The big house is not important. I thought it was important. It's not important. It has someone called the matron in it, but apparently she's not important. She just picked that house. They seem relatively civil.
I don't know.
They don't appear to be
Maybe.
hiding anything, except maybe the matron. But he also said that the roads lead to nowhere. They seem to buy my story perfectly, and they did not seem surprised or curious or really anything. They said that they hoped no one followed me. I take it it's hard to get out of here, and judging by all of the dials,
Well, maybe
there's
it's
something wrong
cursed
here.
to keep her here. Like, the village was there, and then they're like, they threw her there, and then they.
Well, no, they said it was
cursed
cursed before that. It's always been a curse.
Oh.
Or it's some manner of
I wish I
magic
asked.
that makes it so when you come in, you can't walk out.
He did.
No, we haven't walked out.
You walked out of the village, though.
We
The
won't be
village?
able to go back.
They
the
walked
way
out
we
of the
came.
village. They went hunting today.
Should we try to?
Well,
Just to see?
We've been traveling for like the better part of a day.
Okay.
Should
kind of spend Rupert's exhausted.
yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Should we approach this village? It appears to be the only place.
Well-
The road is not traveled there, and they seem uninterested. The only road that appears to be used is the main road that leads in the front. Everything else seems overgrown and disused.
Do we want to
Doesn't-
share with them, though? Because
I
we have food and we're healthy looking.
That's
Well,
your
we're-
pet's food.
fresh looking.
No, we have food too. We have meat. We had like people meat and we had bird meat. Like I
Sorry, people
sectioned
meat
them.
sounded like actual people.
Yeah,
Like,
I was
Oh,
like,
oh,
I was like,
God.
are we eating
Oh.
people on
Alright.
this trip? I can't remember.
So here's the thing: we go in there, we're basically going to lose all of our stores. If not because of charity, because people are going to try to steal them. I mean, they're not going to be able to steal them very well because they're probably weak and malnourished. The problem is, if we are in a situation where we are now magically trapped here through some manner of curse that makes it so we leave and come back the other side of town, whatever food stores we have, we're going to want to keep. Especially because Zon and Kitty are going to eat a lot. And because they eat so much, they're probably going to be the first ones to get killed with food.
So we have 4 days of food for the griffin right now,
I think.
and we had.
Alternatively, you have griffins. Griffins are hunting animals. You could use them to assist in hunting.
Well, when we got them, they were malnourished, so I don't think they were very good at it.
I mean, yeah, but that's
Oh, no,
how
I-
everyone starts.
Well, not just that, but there wasn't any food in that area.
they're only malnourished because they got pushed out of their hunting grounds by lizard people.
Fucking lizards.
Oh, okay.
Good to know.
So what do we want?
Lore.
Do we want?
I don't know
Yes.
that hunting's gonna help us, Tam. I think the problem is there's no food.
I
to
think
hunt.
I think that if we do go into town, we should hide what. When you hide things, you have to hide what you can reasonably hide, and leave other things hidden in a way they'll be found. So people will believe that they have found your secret things when your secret things are actually far more secret. You have the secretest place.
Oh, the bag.
The bag of holding.
we have two of
Don't be
them.
gross.
Do we want to try to look malnourished too?
No, that would be a mistake.
Okay.
If what Fate is saying is accurate, we can just say that we wandered in here.
Yeah, but isn't that suspicious to them?
I
That
mean,
we got one
could just
wander
say we
and
looked
then.
at a map and saw a dark spot and went to it.
I mean, that is true.
We're
but
adventurers. We can tell them, for the most part, the truth. And
But is that gonna ruin his thing? Because like, oh, there's a robot all of a sudden, and then oh, now there's a group of people.
I was going to tell them I was lying.
Oh no, that's not good.
Why is that
Because
not
then,
good?
we can't trust this motherfucker in our town.
well, I mean, look, we can just put
Yeah.
something on Theta. Hell, he could say he's a different number. Like, you can
All right, we're gonna take a quick break.
tell him apart.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick
Well,
break.
let's take a quick break
Yeah,
and
I
decide
didn't-
what we want to
I
do.
didn't
Come down,
tell
use the
them-
restroom.
I
We're
didn't tell
gonna,
them
and
my
then we'll
name.
be right back. So thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you guys
I
are
told them a
enjoying,
number.
and we will be right back.
My
so.
my designated
I
number.
mean, we can
but-
always say we picked you up at the Tinker's Guild. They didn't freak out like I expected, so.
Well, also, I mean, I didn't say I wasn't traveling with my master.
Can't.
I know how to pick them.
It's not your fault.
I feel like it is.
I don't think you're.
It's just your
We're alive.
And we're
Hello.
live. Hey, everybody.
We're not talking about nothing.
All right, hey everybody, we're back. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Talk about stuff.
Had to use a quick restroom break, and we are
We
back.
just
Ready to
stare
go.
at each other
Yeah.
uncomfortably during the break
It's like
That's
that
it.
scene
while
from,
each person pees.
It's that scene from Parks and Rec with the robot senator guy that just like sits there.
Yeah, during the break.
No, yeah, he's great. He just hangs out. All right, so what are you guys doing?
While you were in town, did you notice anything weird? Like just weird behavior from the people?
They all seemed malnourished, but nothing seemed peculiar. They seemed on guard. They seemed wary of me, like the others. But the guy I talked to, I didn't get his name.
Were they on guard the whole time, or was there something that
The
triggered it?
ones that were with the cart were on guard towards me, but not like they didn't seem like they were trying to keep me from. Well, maybe they were trying to keep me from going somewhere. They didn't seem to want me to go to the matron's house. I don't know why, but I don't know. It's not the situation I thought it was. I assumed that we were going to find some sort of military, or at least a guard force, or just a base. And this seems like a hole that people decided to sit in.
Unless they don't have
Or
a choice.
undecided.
Well, that's what I mean. Is they're just stuck.
I'm gonna say
The town's name is Barren. I wrote it down on the map. Here's your map spec. I don't want them.
we should
Did you
probably
like actually
hide our
Yeah.
things
Okay.
tonight.
Cool. Hide our stuff.
Well, here's my question. Do we want to wait until the night and I can go look at that other house? I don't know
Well,
how
when
they
is
sleep.
that?
Oh, also, they warned me about going outside at night. They said I shouldn't spend time out here because things will try to kill
But
me.
when's night?
I don't.
As you say that, you hear clattering of like doors and windows slamming up, and
I guess it's
you can
night.
hear shouting coming from inside the village.
You know, Lou, I bet now is probably night.
Okay.
Well, bonus. If
If
we
they're
sneak
afraid of
in?
the dark, they won't be out in the streets.
Yeah.
that, but we can find a place to store all of our crap in there and fortify it.
I feel like anybody who's in that town is gonna like all the spaces are probably used up. Like
Nope.
you know, no.
Nope. They only
So you-
used the houses nearest the entrance seem to be like the main contingent of the village.
Well, should we sneak in and like try to find random
You
people
saw
and stuff?
maybe a dozen people,
Yeah,
and there's probably about 20-ish houses
Okay.
that are there.
10 or 15
So
people.
do we
There are
wanna
more
go-
houses, and I assume some of these people are family as well.
So we wanna go and
There were
find an
small
abandoned
children.
house and hide our stuff in there.
Yeah, I think if we go around to a side and pick the first house we see that looks like it's open, we can go in and make it our place, and then we can talk to them in the morning.
Furthermore, do we want to try to sneak into the matron's house tonight?
I think I would like to try to sneak into the matron's house.
Okay, I'm at that. I'm down for that.
We'll set up a base first, put our crap
Yeah, yeah.
inside. and
It's
then
not
we
like,
can monitor it.
alright, here we
Yeah,
go.
I'll sit on top of our house while you go out, and that way I can have a bird's eye view at least.
Come on, zombies! Motherfucker!
And we do have a pistol.
Well, I got my crossbow.
Oh, that's
We
right.
gotta get you a fucking heavy arbalist.
They're a little bit too heavy, buddy.
All right.
Yes.
We'll mount it to the cart.
So we'll give it a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll give it just a couple minutes after the last clack goes.
Are
and
we
then
gonna
we'll
put
move
our
in.
griffins in that house?
As you see them, you kind of like peek out and you see that the gentleman and the individuals that were on the cart seem to be escorting people like to and from, and they're just like,
They're gonna
get it
kill
locked
her.
up. They're just like trying to get, like, hey, if you only got like 2 people to a house, fucking pile in with these other people. Like they're trying to get
Hell
everyone
yeah.
like
That really helps.
closed in and set up for the evening as they begin like.
Oh. Should
At
we
which
wait?
point, you notice that the guy that was like he called him the butcher, the guy that was cutting up the meat or
Uh-huh.
whatever. He kind of comes out and he's like, "But I'm not done yet." And he's like, "We don't have time. Like, just go." And they like kind of start redirecting people.
Should we wait to see if they start some kind of like guard system?
We'll wait until it calms down.
I don't think there's a guard system. I think now is our best time. So we should go wide around. I'd say this side over here, and get ourselves into just somewhere. I think that now is better than later because they're gonna lock up, and if there's something dangerous out here,
Plus,
A, it'll be out here, and B, they'll be listening
well,
for
plus
it
right
to
now
come.
they're moving around and not paying attention and causing
Okay.
sound.
Precisely.
So, okay.
So you're gonna try to move what around what side, right or left?
So there's the entrance. I was gonna say the left.
Left, okay.
Because
Okay.
I felt like more of the stuff was to the right.
Always go left.
Haha, the opposite is true. More stuff's to the left than there's to the right. It's minute, but slightly different.
Oh, well, if they're all going, I wanted to go to the opposite
Biggest
side.
reveal of the story so far.
It's okay. We'll take the right side on the
I
next
said
playthrough.
right.
On our new game plus.
Yeah.
Well, I just meant wherever they seen the most people, I wanted to go the opposite side of that. In my head,
Oh,
it was
okay.
just on
So
the right.
then to the you do want to go
Yeah.
to the right then. All right. So as you start moving around to the right hand side, you're gonna take the cart through the road and stuff. I'm assuming.
While we're doing that, I want to keep a watch out to see if anything comes at us, and
Okay.
I'll have my hammer ready if it does.
Okay.
That's not like people.
You notice
Yeah.
to the right hand side of the road, there seems to be probably about a scattering of maybe like 9 or 10 houses that are kind of like spread out. There is one big one, like kind of on the edge of town that seems a little bit beat up. But most of these houses seem to be mostly dilapidated, but 4 functioning walls.
Like intact enough.
Yeah, intact enough to
We take
reside
a big
in.
one.
Whatever we think we could probably get the.
You don't think they have more people shoved in that one?
If it's at the edge of town, probably not. They
Okay.
probably keep them a little closer. They seem like they were trying to make.
We should have. Like,
Consolidate
Watch,
their numbers
yeah.
in one place. That way, if they get slaughtered, it's a lot quicker for them to get slaughtered.
Yeah.
Less screaming.
Or easier for them to respond.
dun, dun.
Right.
More. So you skirt around the outside and you find yourself looking at a thatched covered roof that's mostly collapsed on one side. It seems like the upper corner of the house is just given away after years of disrepair and like no upkeep. That's what I was looking for. But as you move around the outside, you notice that there's no windows on the back and on the right hand side that face outwards towards the woods that you're coming towards. But as you move around the other side, you can see that inside there's the basic functionalities you'd imagine that a house would have, just untouched for years. It's covered in layers of dust. Some of the moss has overgrown into the actual home itself and like sort of spread out a little bit. There seems to be broken beds on the inside as you kind of walk your way around, like these like broken cots that have been smashed. There's like a kitchenette with like an iron wrought stove that's got a pipe going out to the ceiling. Seems to be their central heating element. And as you move around, you can see that on the other side of the building there seems to be a chimney in probably a different room. But as you move, you notice that that's kind of towards the dilapidated side. There's just a hole that goes through. Somebody could just walk into the house. But you go up to the door and you try it. It's splintered and it swings a little bit easier than you would like. It just opens up like nothing. And you looking inside, it seems untouched by anyone in a long time.
You two stay here. We're gonna go in front.
Do we want the house with the hole? Or do we want a house without a hole?
Is the holes on the back bedroom or the back
Or we
room?
could put like a blanket.
Yeah, it's in the back room by the chimney.
Yes, but if there's something out here that comes
It'll
for
get
people at
in.
night, it'll just walk in.
Okay.
There
Yeah,
are
it's gonna
interior
seem like-
doors. You could close the door.
Oh, blanket.
Well, it looks like that's a different section. We might be able to close that section off.
Yeah, you can close the doors off and
Oh, okay, cool.
prevent
It's just like
something.
there's a large like probably family room or something
we
that's open to the world.
Leaving
Yeah.
the actual cart and taking the stuff and the
No,
animals
I'm
with
bringing
us.
the cart in through the hole.
Okay.
The hole can be a.
What is to know if it was gonna
It's
make
a
more
barn
sound?
now.
There you go.
Okay.
there is an overhang for parking carts if you're just having an empty cart.
Yeah.
You
if
bring
you
the
get
animals
everything else off
inside.
of it.
I don't know if we have enough time.
Let's unload it first. We'll deal with it after.
Yeah.
The darkness in here is just in like not only the city just seems suffocating as the only light seems to be from the
So it's
ground. and
definitely darker than it was.
No.
Oh,
it
okay.
looks the same, but you see that they seem to be acutely aware of keeping track of some sort of system because they're already ready to lock down.
Yeah.
And they've locked down. They've left the cart that you saw is just chilling. They've taken the horses with them, but the cart's just sitting by that building on the other side, across the way. You can see it through like cuts in like the alleyways, the pretty big alleyways
All right,
basically.
let's try to get a daisy chain going.
Yeah. Start unloading into the house.
Okay, you unload
Grab
things into the
Rupert and
house.
Hold him in.
I'm
Duck
You
them under
want
the
me to
door frame.
take the
Waddles.
griffins in?
I'm gonna go in and start securing all but one of the doors around the room with a hole in it. So
Okay.
just get that blocked off, except for a way for him to bring Rupert into the rest of the house.
Yep.
And then when he gets him through, I'm gonna try to barricade that door with whatever I can see. I should be able to move most of the stuff in these rooms around.
I'll
Yep.
start carrying shit in.
Okay, so you guys unload. We'll say you guys unload, you get the animals in, you basically block it off. So you have access to about half the house, long ways, and you barricade all the doors, I'm assuming, with something. Frames of beds and dressers. As you
Chair legs do a really good job of that.
Yeah.
Break a chair leg off, take a broken chair leg and put it under
Wedge
the
it.
door.
Yeah. As you begin to notice, there is a second level to the house, and the staircase is on your side of the house. And as you go upstairs, anybody that
I'll
is
go
going,
upstairs. That's fine.
anybody that like heads upstairs, you see that the interior in here, again, dusty and dirty. The items in the house have been all moved downstairs. However, the closets and the dressers that are up here seem to have clothes in them, just unused, worn, some moth-eaten in the closets, but just chilling. There's like old, gowns, dresses, tabards, just like clothing that's been
Taking just all of it, and I'm gonna throw it down so the animals can make a nest.
Okay.
That scared me. Because the stuff just comes down the stairs, you know?
Just tucks it down the stairs.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys set up for the night?
Yeah.
If we have to, we'll take some of those dressers downstairs too and block.
Do you mind if you need Belvin for sneaking, correct?
Oh yeah, I'll give you all your stuff.
I need to take a rest with him though. He doesn't remember who I am. I asked him a question earlier. He didn't.
Did you get the card? Oh wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were 120 out from the border, and then I went into the town.
Okay. So you need to sit with your stuff first.
I'm
So
gonna
should we just rest?
See if I
first?
can find a way to get to the roof. I'll do first watch.
Alright, we'll try to. You want to bring the card inside?
Are we doing
If we don't have anything in the card,
like a short rest, or
I
are we?
figured it'd just be faster. I didn't
sleep,
know how
sleep.
fast things
I'm
would attack.
I'm gonna tell Tony to stand in the hole, the broken part of the house, and keep guard here.
Okay.
Down the streak.
Shriek if there's a problem.
No, I don't want him to shriek. That's a bad plan.
If we're being attacked, that way it rouses you guys up.
I mean, I think it'll be fine. He's mostly just there to take some hits and give some hits.
Are we?
He's not gonna last till first light, so. I love you, Tony.
Are we napping? Or not?
Yeah, we're gonna go
Yeah,
sleep.
take
It's
a
been a
rest.
long.
Are we doing long rest or short rest? Because we wanted to also break into the house.
It's been a long day.
I don't. I mean, I was all gung ho for it, but
Now
the
you're
more.
tired.
But the more I think about it,
Reaches into your pocket.
I think we should know
There's no way.
what goes on at night before I try to start skulking at night. I'm not against a good skulk, but
So wait, is the cart at all visible right now?
Yeah. It's outside and into the carport.
Do you mind if I get your lantern?
Yeah,
Yeah, should we move it?
no, it's fine.
Do we want people to notice leaving the cart up?
What's the option?
Like put it in the forest. Like a little bit.
That sounds like a bad plan.
It'll
Why?
be.
Go back out into the forest to
Just
come
a
back
little
into
bit,
the-
not like just a little bit outside of town. Just to hide
I'm
it.
going up to the roof.
It'll be fine.
Yeah,
They're
I think it's
all
a bad
inside.
plan.
Nobody's gonna see that car until tomorrow morning
That's
anyway,
fine.
and they're gonna see us.
Well, are we staying in this house the whole like next
And-
24 hours?
And I may hide myself in this house, and you guys can come up with your own story. You can say you followed me in. You can say you own me. Whatever. Just let me know what it is. But I won't be there to argue with it.
You want to just
And
put
then
a mark on you so you look different.
maybe I might. I might take some time tomorrow to do that.
Bless you.
All right, everybody,
So really dusty in here.
unwind, go to sleep,
You're not wrong.
do whatever you gotta.
Are we taking turns?
Yeah, I'll take a second.
If there's a way to
I'll take.
hop
the-
up the roof, if there's not, I'm gonna cut a hole in the roof and stack a dresser up so I can climb up it.
All right, yeah, you stack a dresser up to get into the rafters and then pop your head out from over top. Do you want to be completely outside because this is thatch? It's not like a heavy
Oh, it's
substance.
thatch. Yeah, you don't have to cut anything. Just
You just move it out
Is
of the
there
way.
like a beam that I could sit on?
You could and pop your little nugget out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that. You'd have to be all the way at the end. It's only going to give you a good view of one corner,
gonna-
one side of the house.
I want to get to an area where it's a view of the town, not so much the forest.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're gonna get the whole west side is what you can see, but you won't be able to see the north side very well or anything in the forest inside. Okay, so you guys take your long rest. Who you're keeping watch first?
It's Tam, Mommy.
Okay. Everyone who scurries down to take some rest and sleep, you will take 2 points of psychic damage. As you're resting and you finally pile in, Tam, as you get yourself ready, you got your crossbow out and you're kind of peeping your little head out. The darkness is hard to see, but the town is illuminated by a sort of ground fluorescent moss and plants that kind of give this weird ambient glow that almost illuminates the bottom half of most of the buildings here. and it isn't long before you start to see like some of the houses, things just start shambling out.
Oh, no, we should've-
Like from different homes, houses, and then from the woods you can hear strange noises and the rustling of trees, and you can hear like all manner of like shrieks and calls and
Do I hear any more brain?
yeah, you can hear a lot of it in the woods. And as you kind of like stop and just kind of like watch these what are clearly you've seen already, these glowing undead that just kind of like trudge through the streets, you also see like humanoid figures but like fat on the bottom, like this like over sort of like bottom like trunk like legs, and then like short stubby heads, and like their mouths are all ripped open and they have like festering wounds on the outside, and they just kind of like lumber through town. And then even as you continue watching, at one point you hear this strange cry, and your gaze is driven to like one of the other houses as you just see this like red creature with long claws and almost like touch the ground. It has like a low hunched posture with reverse jointed legs and this wide, almost like frog like maw of teeth, as it just kind of like staring at the window like. And then it just scratches as it walked by, just drags its claws around the outside, and you just sit there and listen. You three, as you wind down to go to sleep, and you finally begin to kind of set yourself in.
Before that, should we like keep track of the time so we can try to figure out when night is, like when everyone watches? I don't know, like sit and I don't know.
Count.
That's what I mean. Like, should we try to figure something out?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
My timepiece is not working. I can't think of a better way to,
The town seems to understand, so we can talk to them, and they probably have some way of keeping track.
Are we intending to talk to them?
Yes.
When?
Tomorrow.
I thought we were gonna hide in the house all night, and then tomorrow night break into the matron's house.
Tomorrow morning, I intend to go approach.
You're gonna go out?
Yes.
Okay. Did not know that.
I mean, we can't. There's no way we're gonna be able to hide here.
Why not?
Because they're gonna. I don't know what their stuff is. They may check the houses in the morning.
It's barricaded, so that's the only way they can really check this.
Well, if it's barricaded, they're gonna know something.
Also, they're hungry and weak. Like, do you really think they're gonna waste their energy getting into a broken or getting into this house?
We don't know what they do. They might check all the houses.
So
in the
you're
morning.
going out?
Yes.
Okay. Is anybody else going out in the morning?
I'm not specifically because
I
they've
wasn't
already
going
met
to.
me. But I think it's a good idea to go talk to them and let them
Instead
know
of
that
calling.
you're lost here too, and they'll give you a better idea of it. I think it's a dumb idea to try and hide from them. If they're trapped here and it's impossible to get out, the only way we're going to find that out is by talking to them.
Look, you stay hidden. Theta is obviously gonna hidden because they've already seen him. Me and Tam will go out tomorrow and check
It's
and
really
chat.
suspicious, though. Like, how often do they get people that come here?
We won't know until we ask them.
Alright.
So as you guys lay down to go to sleep, your dreams are permeated by howls, cries, screams, laughs.
I'm used to this.
Every like moment of it is just a flash of something different. Alien topography, just bizarre nightmare creatures that defy logic and understanding, to the point where when you visualize them and as you try to it's like you can see them and they're horrifying, but they don't leave an impression. It's like you can't remember what it was that was so terrifying. But each of you have a specific vision of a almost like a mirroring surface, pitch black in color, impossibly black. It just absorbs light around it, but it's beautiful, and it's rimmed by stone and moss, and it's just this mirror of almost perfect obsidian that just gently ripples, and each of you see it, and every time you see it, you just get closer to it, and then it'll go screams, cries, just closer to it, and you just watch it grow in size. And then when you wake up, you all take your 2 points of psychic damage.
Okay.
However, you take your watch. Who are you waking up next?
Me.
Okay, so Ma is waking up next. You're gonna also take 2 points of psychic damage when you take your rest.
Oh, shit.
It's gonna apply when you wake up.
So, right now he's at full, right? So when we wake up, we're at full?
No, when
And
you
then,
wake
and
up.
then we take the 2.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I didn't know if, like, when we wake up, it's not a full
Well,
rest.
I mean, I
No, you get your full rest.
Okay,
You would just be not
I was
at full
confused
hit
on that,
Yeah,
just making
okay.
sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Yes, you do whatever effects is going on.
that
But
down.
you wake up Ma. He takes over for you as far as the rest goes, and you are privy to the same things that Tam saw. You see that the streets are literally crawling with undead, with strange, bloated sort of like corpse-like creatures that just meander the streets. These long sort of long-fingered monstrosities. However, about halfway through your watch, before you go to wake up whoever you're going to get next, you see something that he did not report to you as you peep your head up and try to keep very still. Is you see this almost like hulking figure trudging down. It comes out of your northern side of your vision, like to the right-hand side as you watch, and you just see it like lumbering, and like the ground kind of like almost shakes. Red fur, almost like apen type face, and as it walks by one of the buildings, it kind of like looks and it like grabs both sides and it peeks its head into the window frame. At which point it just reels back and just knocks the building like almost entirely over. Its punch hits the corner of the structure and it just rakes its massive meaty paw through, and you just see it like you hear this loud crash. And as it sits there, you see that it waits, almost like listening for somebody to say something, and it's just like, and then it just keeps lumbering, and it just walks its way through town. They seem to just come and go. There seems to be no rhyme or reason. They just maneuver through, almost like it's their territory. But that is what you see.
For now.
And then, what are you doing?
Well, I'm gonna think actively.
Okay.
The corpse brigade is gonna fucking take this thing.
Okay.
Willing it into existence.
All right. And who are you waking up next?
Lou.
Okay. So you trade off with Lou. Lou, you awaken from your strange dreams. That even as you wake up, you're not as afraid, but you just feel a little bit tired. You know, you like a little bit of that damage
Like I
kind of.
said,
Yeah, it's like a little bit more exhausting than you might expect. But you take your place. You climb up in the rafters, similar to the gentleman before you, and you keep your eyes open. And as soon as you pop your head in, even he's kind of like keep quiet. As you pop your head up, you just see like the streets littered with the Walking Dead, just moving through.
Why'd you teach us that today?
Moving through, just bloated and glowing from the inside, these strange corpses that walk the streets. And that is what you see for your...
Any like particular corpses, like they saw?
No, but you do see the one that he kind of like, he's like, oh, there's like a bigger one stocking buildings. It's still slowly lumbering its way through town, just kind of like lackadaisically. It has no...
Does anything in your armors or like seem to notice?
They do? No. You can hear them down below, though. You can't see them directly down from you, but you can hear things moving through the streets down there.
So they're just... Are they like listening for... I'm trying to figure out like if what they respond to. If they like sight or sound.
Well,
or
if I may
like
offer
anything.
some insight during changeover.
When you use the restroom.
Go ahead.
You do your thing.
The big red monkey, I think it's testing. It looked like it hit the building and then was listening to see if somebody would say something.
So they can see and hear just fine.
Yes. Seems that way.
They're not like check for vibration or anything.
No. They're not trippers.
I don't know.
Graboids.
Out of character,
Graboids,
they're
great.
all definitely demons. Like,
You think they're demons?
it's a Balrog. Or not a Balrog.
You said that in character.
No. See the hand on his head?
I don't know shit about
Yeah.
religion.
Me neither.
Oh.
I do.
Oh, okay.
Well, not religion. I know about demon stuff.
My religion's pretty good, but just because I'm smart.
Mine's a 1. Okay.
Mine's a 3.
Okay.
But I don't use it for nothing.
You just have high intelligence.
Oh no, I use it for
So,
investigation.
some of them are just bumbling zombies. Some of them are fairly intelligent.
Nothing got close to the house?
Well, I mean, there's stuff out there, but
Yes, there are things right outside of the house.
No, but like nothing was like
No, they're-
sniffing at the house or like
they're
seeing the
not
smell.
especially no.
Okay.
I don't think they noticed our card.
They're
Why
not
would they be-
smelling the new people.
Yeah.
Okay, so the morning comes. You can't tell, but you wake up after roughly about 8 hours. And you feel a little bit more tired than you would normally. A little bit mentally exhausted, strangely enough.
I'm going to look for corpses and stuff, but I'm gonna try to see if I see any kind of like any way to differentiate time at all. Like if anything changes at all, that would indicate it's a
Or like
different time.
because you're on the last watch. What happens? Like what
Yeah,
happens
like
at
when
the
morning
end?
comes.
In the morning, they begin to just slowly make their way out of the central city.
Can I hear if like things calm down in the forest or anything?
Yeah, the noises seem to pipe down in the morning as they seem to exit towards the various ways out of town.
So those are the monsters are the only indicators of
That's
time.
probably like your best indicator, yeah.
Okay.
That nighttime has started.
Pretty clear indicator.
Yeah. It seems that there's no like other warning though. It's just like, oh, shit's popping off. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, and once you get into a circadian rhythm of it, like I'm sure it's like dawn and dusk.
Yeah.
Maybe they
That's
have
probably
scouts.
Huh?
So maybe they have scouts like watching the woods.
So
So
do I
anytime they
take
see a bunch of
one
them
level of
moving
exhaustion
forward.
off the griffin.
Yes, it got its full rest and eat and food.
Does Griffin get psychic damage?
Yeah, technically they all do, but since I'm assuming you're not going to take them out, it won't really apply unless something happens and they take damage again, then yes.
Okay.
So, as you guys begin to rouse up, Lou, since you're the one keeping watch, you do notice that across the street, like a bit north of you, you see that in the small cluster of houses that seems to be right in front of where the main big house is, you see that a little door opens and somebody comes like moving out very quickly and like hits that corner and begins kind of like looking, and then another guy comes out with his bow drawn, kind of like looking down the line. Huh?
Or the Equus?
No, just
In front of the
further in.
matron's house.
Where like near to the matron's house, there's a small cluster of homes there, and you see that the people you assume are the people from yesterday seem to be coming out, weapons drawn, like
Are there
looking
any
around.
lights on in anybody's houses at night?
No.
Okay. Okay. Is there like anybody extra like? No, I can't do that. I wanted to see if there's anybody in the matron's house moving around or anything. Or
That you
guarding,
can't tell.
but yeah. Okay.
There's definitely no one guarding it. There's no one moving around outside.
Okay.
But you also didn't see any like movement inside or anything. But you see them move out, kind of as like a little group, and then you can hear like this, like almost like a startled sound. At which point you see like a zombie come around the corner as the one guy begins peppering it with arrows. The girl throws her dagger, and they just kind of like they're moving away from it, luring it backwards, hitting it until it explodes into like this viscous mess of acid and poison.
I would like to keep. Oh, I already know that they do that. Never mind. I'm gonna say that's a note, but.
And then you see them begin to continue looking around, like trying to get the attention of whatever is, and they begin like shouting, like trying to get attention of things that might be left in the village. And that's what they do for their morning.
Okay.
As you watch that conclude, you see that people begin to kind of come outside and begin returning to homes that were probably previously vacant.
Does it more near our house?
No.
Okay. Oh, sneakily.
You just had the little periscope goes down and.
I think when things start calming down, then
Starts
I'll
to go
start
down.
like instead of being poked out, I'll like.
Okay. Yeah. So you climb down out of the rafters and you find yourself regrouping with your companions inside the house. What's the plan? As everyone's awake. Everyone can hear the shouting and like the commands are kind of like they're like just like making noises basically.
Clearing, got it. Did anybody else have a weird fucking dream?
Yeah.
Like twice. Never gone to sleep, woken up, and then gone back to sleep into the same damn dream.
No.
I rarely have dreams.
So it's like an event when you do have a dream. Like
Yeah, kind of.
Oh.
Yeah, this place is definitely cursed. Fuck.
I mean,
But what kind?
we
of
knew
curse?
that
Well,
really badly.
Well, I mean, because there's like different kinds of curses.
I saw a big red
Go
monkey last
outside
night.
and pull the tanning hides
Mm-hmm.
off just in case it attracts anything.
Oh yeah.
'Kay.
I feel like you would have done that before him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like anything to not draw.
Maybe, indeed.
But I'm also gonna feed fucking Rupert myself, and then so we're going in the town today.
Alright, so let's put this to a team.
I'm gonna keep the animals company.
Dan's
I'm
gonna stay hidden.
Yeah.
Because I've already seen him.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should go recon the town and physically meet with the people. We're gonna be able to learn more about them by being other humans than Theta can being a droid.
Not a human, but okay.
Humanish.
That's
People.
super rude.
We're all people.
Wow.
I can't believe you right now. Racist.
I thought we were friends.
We are friends.
Half human. Hurts, doesn't it?
I'm tired.
They've
So-
told me worse. Anyway, It hurt more when the orcs did it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they believe that kind of shit.
Just the way they said it.
No, it's just like you know they're saying it like that's not racist. That's just them.
That's what they truly believe in their little hearts.
Anyway, I'm upset now. We're gonna go to town.
We're talking quietly. I don't think we're talking as loud as we are.
I might have been quiet, but now I'm upset. Sorry. Look,
Mom.
we're gonna go out.
Here you go, Rupert.
Rupert says glasses name.
I assume you, quite vocal, don't want to go out. Then stay here with Ada.
I would like to. I'll keep watch inside the house. Let's see, listen, see if anybody comes close and stuff.
Take care of the girls.
Is that okay? Okay.
Should I leave? Should I keep the staff with me, or should I give it to?
I think you should keep it with you.
Is there anything we could offer as like a peace offering for that?
Well, we don't need to offer anything. The way I'm understanding
give
it.
him $2.
Yeah.
So, but you're leaving everything here, right?
Yeah. Everything here except for our weapons.
What do you take except for weapons?
Also,
we're taking our weapons.
Keep in mind you used bird calls to distract them. So if you make bird calls, they might put two and two together.
No, you can do different. Oh yeah, no, any bird calls probably would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
So
I got a card over here. As you're talking, you can see, or you can hear that from beyond the side. You hear somebody's like, "Hey, we got a card over here."
I'm gonna go upstairs. No, that's stupid.
And you hear feet begin to move closer towards the house.
Shut the front door.
You hear some like surprised, like some couple like fading back footsteps.
What a terrible night's sleep.
You open the door?
Yeah.
As you open the door, you see that outside there is a man. He has 4 arrows knocked simultaneously between his fingers, and he's just holding them on the bow.
So I open the door, stretching, complaining about my night's sleep. Hands on hips. Howdy, neighbor.
At which point the gentleman just kind of like, he's like looking at you. He has no outward expression. He's just looking at you. But then something does kind of, there's like a twinkle in his eye for a minute as he's looking at you. Not like it is a look you've seen before being a half elf, and it's pity. He pities you right now. At which point the bow kind of begins to come down, and he kind of like leans his head back, and he's like, "Brother, we got more."
Disarming smile.
Push him out of the way.
Do inspiring leader.
At least you didn't get shot.
Yeah, right.
The guy kind of like brings his bow down, and the other gentleman you've seen before, kind of shouting out orders. He rounds the corner with his hat kind of like tipped up a bit.
Do we have a fence in our house?
No.
I want to walk up, lean on it.
Howdy, neighbor.
As he rounds the corner, he's
hey,
like,
Leo there.
Just made some cursed lemonade.
Demon ale. If you rearrange the lemonade, you can make demon ale.
he kind of like rounds the corner, and he looks at you, and he's just like, "All right." And he begins walking towards you, and he sees you popped around the corner, and he's just like,
"Come down, I'll meet him halfway."
"Adventurers,
Absolutely.
I presume. Welcome to Barrens. I'm Morin." And he kind of extends his hand. You notice as he shakes, there's that looming presence of a woman kind of like eyeing you from the corner, hand still placed on a rapier.
I'm gonna go up to the thatch so I can listen to this conversation.
Is this the guy with the feather hat?
Yes.
Or like the younger dude? Okay.
Yeah, it's like a leathern sort of like Robin Hood style cap, and he's just like, "I'm Morin. Welcome to Baron. I presume you came in here with the little one, the little robot thing."
Oh yeah, the robot. Yeah.
Is that yours?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to say that he walked out north, so, or I'm sorry, he walked out south.
Yeah, he has a habit of disappearing, coming back.
Well, I hope you got food, but if you're strong back, then we could use you in the field.
Absolutely.
Oh, against your zombies and demons?
Well, he's kind of like, you see him kind of like looking around. We've hit most of the houses on this side. We've been making calls the whole morning. No, we're talking about hunting.
Yeah.
the most of the natural wildlife you've seen in your life does not exist here anymore.
Mm.
So the things we eat are not exactly appetizing.
No, it
And
looks
there's
pretty
not a
bad
lot of
coming
it. You encountered something in the woods?
in. Yeah, some of them, and the little dogs that.
And a whole lot of.
Oh yeah, the man.
Those things are pretty nasty. They travel in groups of like 8 or 9 at a time.
Oh
So-
man, no. Yeah, they are pretty nasty.
Well, seems like you got yourself a house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't cause no trouble, we won't have no trouble.
Fantastic. Well, you know what? Let's help you. Let us help you to help us.
What?
Lead the way.
Yeah.
Well,
We ain't heading out yet. We still got more to do for the morning. We got to get people set up. We got water to distribute. So, well, what if it's not gone bad? But you're welcome around town. You know, like I said, no issue.
Mind if I follow you around for a bit? Just learn the lay?
Sure, come with me. And he begins to kind of take you out. And he's like, I'm sorry to say, but you're a little green now. You'll get used to it pretty soon. But you ain't leaving. Ain't my call. Ain't no one's call. Everyone here's stuck, same as you.
How so?
The forest don't let you leave.
Uh-huh.
The Woad traps everyone that comes in it.
Yeah.
the woe.
It's the Woad.
W-O-A.
Oh, that's just.
It's what we call the outside here. But it's been this way long as we can remember, and ain't no one come and gone. People come all the time. Most of them don't make it. They try to leave, and when you try to leave, the Woad will take you.
Who's been here the longest?
Well, I mean, any one of these villagers has been here their whole lives. Some of the kids even unfortunately were born here. He's like, as you guys kind of like exit out, and he takes you down the main thoroughfare, and he's like, couple rules I don't really understand myself, but there's a couple things I can point you to. First off, the matron doesn't like visitors. She came here a couple years back, maybe a dozen or so back. She's a mean old bat, strong as sin. I wouldn't chance crossing her. She's not a nice lady. She comes and goes as she pleases. We don't really see her much, but she don't take kindly to strangers.
Does she have a name, or does she just go by the name?
She goes by the matron. I've never heard her. Shade too. She's not too bad to look at, but he keeps going through. And then the last thing is he begins to walk you down towards, and he's like, and that building there, which you see as you kind of like look at it, it seems to have like a slightly steeper roof that's actually been like wooded out. The building's just trashed for the most part. And he's like, and there's the church. We don't go in the church. The matron don't like it when people go in the church. Said that's where the curse started. People that go in there are doomed. From the outside, you can see that this building is mostly dilapidated on all sides. The weather hasn't been kind to it over the years. It has like a small fenced-in yard that's overgrown with vegetation that upon inspection seems much different than the surroundings. It actually seems to be almost normal in its appearance, like dandelions and things like that seem like overgrown in this area. The roof is partially collapsed, and even from the outside you can see that the interior, where all the glass has been shattered, is just carved up. Whether it's battle damage or claws or something, it just seems shredded from the inside, and he's just like, we don't go in there. And
Don't bother the matron. Don't go into church.
And then welcome. Oh, we got a follower. House Dirt and Gaming, thanks so much for following. Hope you're enjoying. Those are my two recommendations. Like I said, I'm Morin. This is my brother. He points to the gentleman with the
bow.
The bow. Yeah. This is my brother Ridley. And then he points further back. You see another gentleman that's kind of sitting there watching you. He seems to be like the youngest of the group, and he has like two short swords tucked in his into his like under his leather coat. And he's like, that's Griffin, and the talkative one over there, that's Eileen.
What about the bald dude? Did he come up or no?
Yeah, bald dude's Ridley.
Ridley. Okay.
Ridley Scott.
He's got a Ridley Talbot.
And what was his short sword?
Short sword is Griffin.
Griffin.
We wandered in here probably about a couple years back, 2-3 years ago, coming coming south out of Sin Hollow. Myself. Griffin unfortunately wandered in here from Tefel, along with Eileen there. So we kind of meet up, the only people here that seem worth their salt, but we got adventurers now. But like I said, people like you come all the time. Most of you don't leave. Those that do leave, we just never see again. Ain't no one walked out of the Woad though, so.
What happens if you reach the edge of it?
I've never seen the edge of it. Ain't seen it since I came in.
Does it turn you around? Like you go out so far and you just end up coming back into town, or?
No, you just get lost. And then you got to figure your way back.
Okay, all right.
It's almost like it never ends. So that's it. We lock up at nighttime. We use this congregation of houses here. In the evening, if you're so inclined, that way we can bring everybody together and kind of keep the little ones quiet.
How'd you know it was nighttime?
We've been counting for, you kind of get in the rhythm of it, but for the most part, we do have some people here that help us keep track. They like count sometimes if we need to.
Yeah, we just followed you guys' shouts and screams and we booked into the building.
That was a good call. The things that come out at night aren't too friendly.
I saw looked like a mutated toad with claws on its hands.
Saw a big ass monkey last night too.
Those things are pretty scary. The red claw thing's a little bit scarier.
Yeah.
We lost 6 men a couple weeks back to one of those. Made the mistake of drawing its attention. Once you get its ire, you're pretty much done.
Well, it got 6 guys. We're 4 guys.
Well, if there's anything else I can help you with, just find me around here.
Absolutely. You know what? As a matter of fact, Warren, if there's anything we can help you with, let us know.
I will intend to. Pretty soon you'll find that we all need to lead on each other to survive this place.
And one last question.
Oh.
Has anybody, I know you said we're not supposed to go in the church, but has anybody gone in the church that you were aware of recently?
Not recently. No, I can't think of the last time anybody's gone in there.
Alright.
That's really the only time the matron really makes herself known. People get too close and poke their nose around. She gets a little upset.
Who's the church too?
It's the Lady of Light.
Oh.
Altair herself.
Got it.
It's an old church, been here longer than most of these buildings.
Yeah.
But something happened.
I mean, if it's supposed to be a cage, it's a good one for whatever the hell is coming out of it. Alright, we'll explore a little bit, so if you need anything, just give us a holler.
Yeah, you guys do you. We'll be going hunting here soon, so.
Alright.
And then he turns on his heels and walks away. The other ones kind of eye you for a bit, but then they also kind of break away and begin.
We hear that in the house or no?
No,
You would have heard the beginning, but they were walking away as they went. He was pointing.
Once he started talking about the town, they were probably too far away for us to hear. Because I went up to the thatch to hear as much as I could.
Yeah.
But there's only so much we're gonna get.
Yeah. Okay.
But he begins going back. They go and check in. You see him. They kind of like duck into that big building that you think would probably be at one point like a town hall or something. And you just hear a couple curses. At which point he like just hucks out like a bone. And he's like, well, they ate the rest of that thing. So. And then they walk out and they begin kind of like going around. You see that there's a well around like epicenter off to one side. It's pretty decent sized. It's got shit growing over the side of it for the most part, but the people seem to be drawing up buckets that seem only slightly contaminated, and they kind of like move back to their little homes. You see smoke beginning to rise out of chimneys as they begin to light them up.
Tell you, Tam, never in my life have I wished I knew a fucking cleric more than I did right now.
Never worked.
Alright. Well,
At least that later he bleeds out.
Fuck clerics!
Yeah.
Fuck all of them.
Alright, I want to make 2 passes before he goes calling us out for hunting.
Okay.
I'm gonna go report back.
I'm gonna make my way over to the church and just kind of eyeball it, not going, I don't want to like piss anybody off. Just kind of like
So as you walk by it on the outside,
give it a nice.
you notice pretty much as soon as you go near it, a couple people kind of nervously like look at you, and then they keep walking. But from the outside, you can see that all the windows have been shattered. Make an investigation check.
Nice. It's pretty fucked up.
Make me do smart stuff. 10.
10. From outside, you can notice that all the windows have been shattered. All the glass is out. It was never like a stained glass; they were just normal windows, but they seem to be all shattered from the inside out. And as you kind of like are moving around the outside of the building, you notice that the The front door has been like barricaded, like they've nailed it shut from the outside.
Right.
And then as you move around to the other side, you see it has a small yard. The pulpit, oddly, is still perfectly standing. It's been beat up and weathered from time and just like from like the sun, or where the sun probably was at one point. And then the roof's been caved in for the most part. But you can see that there are deep gashes in the wall, all like everywhere. And that's what you see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shitty. Alright, and then I want to make my way towards the matron's house. Again,
Yeah.
not to tread on her property or anything, just give it a once over, look around it.
Okay. All right. So you maneuver around the outside. You walk back towards the center of town. Take a left, and you start looking towards the major town. You see, it's actually a pretty decent sized house. It's the biggest one in the area, with a long sort of wing on one side and then a central structure on in the front. It has like these little archways where it's kind of been placed up on like logs. Basically, it has like a flat plane. It's not flush with the ground. You can actually probably crawl underneath it if you wanted to. So you. There's just bad advice coming in. No. But from the outside, you do actually see motion coming.
Of course.
You see, you can see that from the outside, you can see somebody moving around inside the matron's house. And as you kind of like move up, there's nothing beyond her home. And like there's a decent clip before you get from the last house to her. So as you approach and get closer, again, one of like the few stragglers on the streets kind of take notice, but don't really stop or say anything. But from within, you can see somebody moving around, the silhouette of a woman through some of the windows, just like kind of maneuvering about. She seems to be like fixing her hair or something. And then suddenly she stops, and she turns and looks towards you, and then begins walking towards the window. And as she does, she opens the window and kind of like leans out. She's a pretty attractive woman. Her hair is currently in like this messy sort of bun, and she's just kind of like worked it up. She's wearing like a couple layers of clothing, almost like to keep warm in a way, with this heavy outer coat being like very regal looking, but it's old. Probably pulled it from like a cupboard or anything. And she just kind of looks at you and she's like,
"Howdy, neighbor."
"Hello."
New to town. My name's Leo Neros Miller. You can call me Ma. And stop me if I'm wrong. But you look an awful lot like a Coletta.
My name?
Yeah.
That's not my name.
Shot in the dark.
Sorry, there's a meta pigeon over there somewhere.
I'm just a little demon pigeon.
She kind of like leans closer in the window, like getting down, and she's like, "I'm Irina. Nice to meet you."
Come on, Irina.
We got Eileen and Irina.
So me and a friend of mine, we're new to town. Just wanted to say hello.
Wow. Hello.
What?
Hardcore RP, let's go.
We live in one of the bigger houses, right?
Yes,
So
in the
far
far end.
there. Friend of mine, halfling gentleman, Tam. He and I live with a robot over there.
Anyone else?
In one of the bigger houses. So if you ever need anything.
Wait, did she ask anyone else?
Yeah.
She asked you anyone else?
If there's anyone else with you.
No.
Yes.
Oh. Did you?
There is.
Another gentleman like yourself?
No.
A woman?
You'll have to come and find out. I'm actually not 100% sometimes.
You like married or?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, she kind of like presses both of her hands. You're single?
Yes.
Then you're welcome back here anytime.
Alright, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is this correct?
If you ever need any help, you let us know. We're over there.
Oh, I'll let you know. And then she kind of like giggles and closes the window and walks back
And
inside.
I'll turn around and walk away.
Okay.
Meanest.
And you walk away.
Yep.
Strangely feeling like you've been propositioned.
Whoa.
Brown chicken.
I mean, have you seen these abs?
No.
No.
No, you're wearing armor.
Actually, yeah, you might have.
Oh yeah, I have.
When you came out.
I saw you basically.
So you return back to the group, back to the house.
Yep.
Okay. Cross through the city. You notice that there seems to be a lack of children. There seems to be only few kids that seem to be running around. Of them, the oldest of which seems 16, and the youngest of which seems maybe like 10ish.
Why did I write painted next to Colin's name? Cool.
You just see, you do see this this little girl just kind of like staring at you. And she kind of like just wanders away again. Just
Dragon
here.
doll?
Huh? No, she was just like watching him very intently with like the big eyes, and then.
Do you want to see something cool? Is there any like fencing?
Sure.
All right. No. I want to cast.
Consume.
No. Constrict.
You get naivete.
Okay. As you do, she just kind of stands there, and this like bluish tentacle comes up and wraps itself around the pole and kind of squeezes. She's just like.
Magic.
I just found out I had a fetish. Didn't know I had.
I'm gonna write this.
She walks away.
/ fiction time.
The half elf in the wooden post.
So. So yeah, she just wanders away after you do that.
She becomes like a best-selling author in the long run.
So you return back to the group
There's
to
only 11 other people
to
that can read the
report back.
books.
Yep.
In the village or
Okay.
over?
It's after Tam.
In the
finishes
whole
thing.
world.
Well, I imagine
She
no,
can't
she,
get
like-
them out.
No, I imagine like somehow like 2 books make it in and then they just like blow.
Tam, you return and let them know what you've learned so far.
So apparently we're helping them hunt. Going on scouting missions. We're not allowed into the matron's house or the church. Apparently the church is where the curse started.
Oh.
Oh wait.
So we're going to the
We gotta
church.
go to the church, yeah. Like how there's like it's literally split.
No, I was not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously.
So we're going to church.
Yeah.
Uh,
Gotta check that out.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it does say take me to church.
Okay.
That's right.
But we did not tell them about you. We did say that they asked us if you were our robot, so I guess you're our robot.
You can't do that. You only got 3
I
fingers.
practiced. It only takes 3. And I have 4 fingers.
It only takes 2, really.
Fuck it.
Yeah, but he
Choice.
doesn't have the flesh.
Oh, you don't have a thumb, do you? Do you have a thumb?
They're all thumbs.
And they're all
And I
everything.
rotate my hand and pretend that one of the fingers is the thumb each rotation.
So me and Ma are gonna head out and try and hunt.
Okay.
Just in case, I'm gonna give you the staff of bird calls
Okay.
and just do like think of an eagle or I don't know your griffin.
Okay.
So if something happens in town and you guys are in trouble.
Okay. Did you leave anything else?
Oh, hold on.
Because you said you just took your weapons and.
It's
I
got
got my gear.
But
it got 2 charges since the dawn.
okay. So instead of 7, put it up to 2 more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no.
So you Ma eventually returns with his new acquired information on the.
Oh, you returned too?
Yeah, he just comes back as you finish up
Oh,
talking.
I didn't know if you were coming back.
Yeah, so I checked the church out.
So wait, then did you leave Tam after that?
No.
Oh, you stayed? Okay.
Moment.
So, checked out the church. I mean, did it once around. It looked like there was some shit in there. I don't know if it was just
Was it on the inside or the outside?
inside. It looks like everything that's happened is on the inside. So I'm thinking that church, if it is the source of this curse, which is what Morin, the leader guy, was saying, that church might actually be a cage for it.
So I've heard that fire is really cleansing.
Thought about it. Still thinking about it. Plan B.
So
Okay. Plan B.
if we go in the church and get rid of whatever caused the curse, then this will be okay?
Well, probably. I don't know if any of us will be able to do that.
50-50.
Like, with
I
scale.
think if we can clear the town out of demons, that might.
But I feel like it's just gonna keep.
Well,
like,
yeah,
it's
but if
never
we
gonna
can-
Well,
end.
that's why we just chop them up into bits.
Yeah.
That way they reanimate as
And then
Loki.
put
Well,
the bits in
I
different
don't know,
buckets.
it's-
Or
necessarily-
alternatively, we don't kill them, we just sever
Well,
their
no,
limbs.
I'm not saying it's the same bits being regenerated. I'm saying like it's like if it's like a whole new things are gonna keep coming out.
Well, all I mean,
like an anthill.
Lou, is
Yes.
if it's one of those things where we're able to fight those things that come out, I feel like we might be capable of doing this. We may have to grind a little bit.
Did they tell you what like the worst threats in town are or anything?
No, everything seems to be a terrible threat. Most of the people that live here seem to be fairly decrepit, or lost wanderers, travelers, something like that. It looks like Morin and his team are the only ones that have any actual combat prowess about them.
Yeah, there is a couple people from Sin Hollow.
Okay.
That said, I also met the matron.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Is she really?
How old is she?
Hot.
Probably like 30s is what you could tell.
Like, is she
How
human?
old is she? Hot.
Do you know if she's human?
She looks human.
Oh, she.
Human enough to.
She looks human.
Does she look elven?
No.
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 Coletta was a human.
Yeah,
I thought
Coletta
she
was
was
human.
Oh.
No.
She's human, but she only looks like 30.
Yeah, that.
The girl that you just met looked 30.
I did not meet her, but yes.
Coletta's
Really
was
just
around
met.
40, 45, 50.
But did she look younger?
She'd have a very regal coat on, though. I don't know. I walked up to her and said, "Hey, you look an awful lot like a Coletta," and she told me her name was Irina. So maybe she's
what
like.
color was her hair?
She had hair.
Yeah, she was. It was
She had tits.
It was like brownish black.
Brownish black.
It wasn't like graying or anything.
No.
Do you think that's fair?
Could be. Might not be.
No, I feel like her.
Did she look malnourished like the rest of the people?
Oh yeah.
Maybe she's eating the rest of the people.
Maybe she's the. Oh.
Or she could be using magic
Maybe.
to alter the way she looks. Regardless, I think our best bet
Well,
is
do you
to
think
Are you
it's
gonna
her?
try and stop her?
thought about it.
I just need
I
to
hate
know.
this group.
I'm writing
Theta?
fan fiction.
Theta has a thing. Oh.
So let's take the Colette idea.
Okay.
And just put it in a
Don't
bucket
think
for
about
now.
it right now. Okay.
The
What?
church is where the bad things are happening.
Yes.
Inside the church.
Yes.
The matron doesn't want people inside the church.
Yes.
The matron doesn't look malnourished.
The thought also occurred to me that she might not be a good person.
She
Well,
may be continuing whatever's happening in
also-
there.
Was she like seducing you?
Why is that relevant?
Because if there's bad shit going on in the town, there's not many kids. I feel like sex isn't gonna be your first thought unless you're
I've
trying to
heard that
distract
humans
somebody.
like to fornicate often.
But I feel like
Also,
she's-
if they feel like they're gonna die.
if she's but she's not looking.
She
like
might
she's-
have already been through all of them.
Or she's trying to distract him.
I mean,
Pogo
she
stick.
probably was. But have you seen this six pack?
Yes.
My
Oh.
eyes bleed.
My eyes bleed just randomly.
You mean this 8-pack?
Why
No,
do you
no,
so
no.
many? So many squares on your
I
side.
can grate
I drew them earlier.
It's like an egg carving.
All right, what's going on?
Look,
I don't know. Okay, so
50-50, she's either evil or she's the person that we're after.
Alright,
60-40.
Okay,
we
wait.
should probably head out to go,
Right.
Okay.
So
Well, they said they had to do chores first, right?
I did mention to her that we have another member.
Him?
No.
They know about me. I'm a robot.
And tell her.
Why'd you rat me out?
Because.
Do you have mind control on you?
No.
You just
And
like to blather things
listen.
of your own accord.
Lou. Listen.
Why do you think I hid in the house?
Because you are weirdly paranoid at the strangest times. Like, you
Right,
will be
sorry.
totally normal, and then just somebody be like, "Hey, would you like to buy some strawberries?" And you will become insanely paranoid about him, and then be back to normal. So I kind of just take that in stride. What I'm concerned about is if she's evil,
Are you
if she
concerned about
finds
that?
you,
Uh-huh.
she can use the fact that I hid you.
Well, does she leave the house?
Supposedly only when people enter the church.
So then why would she come looking for me?
Regardless of why or when, we don't know their
You
stuff
done
yet.
fucked up already. All right, whatever. So what do you want us to come out?
Lou,
Mhm.
chill.
I'm chill.
You can stay here.
Well, no,
I'm just saying, on the off chance that she's evil and she finds out you're here and that we were hiding you, she can use that to turn the town against us.
Do you think she's
Pitchforks.
evil?
I've been through that. It's not fun.
So I would rather have the most possibly evil person think she has the upper hand than she finds you and uses you to hurt.
Did
all
you
of
tell
us.
anybody else?
No.
So should me and him stay here then? Or
You
should we
guys
come
can
out?
stay here.
I'm going for a wander. I don't want to stay in this house. It's boring.
Yeah, that's true. But what about, should we be worried about the animals?
I'm not worried about anything.
You can stay here with the animals.
Rupert's been fed.
No, I mean like them coming to eat them, or do they seem like they were interested in the house at all?
Or if somebody eats Rupert, I want to eat them.
They're not particularly
Not really,
interested in
I'm
our
just
house.
gonna
They seem to adopt a live and let live. Don't shit what we eat, and we won't hurt
I think
you.
my girlfriend's probably still trying to nap and stuff, right? Okay.
So you stay here with them. If anybody
No, I
asks,
don't wanna go
we'll
see the
just.
shrine.
You volunteered to stay.
I know.
You're hiding.
All right.
You gotta bear that cross.
If you don't want anyone to know who you are, you can't go out and introduce yourself to people.
I am no
They are
one.
mutually exclusive.
Just running through the street going, nope, 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 nope.
I'm an NPC like all of you.
What's gonna happen is potentially, ideally, tonight, right after doors start getting closed, and all that jazz.
Oh.
Get a closer look at the church, not going inside of it.
Did you figure out a way to? Why would we go at night?
Not midnight. I'm saying
Any
after they
night.
all close up, but before the things come to town.
Well, no. When they close up, it's because
they're on their way. So we have like a teeny tiny little window.
Did you figure out the thing?
Oh yeah, they count.
I'm just gonna go look at the church.
Yeah.
You like take a look in it or at it?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
It's gonna depend
All right,
on
I'll
how I
stay
get
here.
there.
You go to the church. Are you going with them?
Also, the only people
gonna-
that
They're going
seem to
hunting.
Yeah.
fight are the ones that you guys saw.
Everybody
Yeah.
else. Is
Who I assume are the hunters.
Yeah.
I'm going with you.
So, Theta, I trust your judgment. Try not to unleash whatever's inside of it. If
I will
there is.
do my best.
Thank you.
If you see any magic circles, just scuff them out with your foot.
I don't know how that works, so I don't.
Or
touch
maybe
those.
not. Let's leave them alone.
Okay, so you head to the
It's
church.
10 times worse now.
You head over to the,
We're
to
gonna
the church.
go-
Yeah, basically, I'm gonna wait till they head out, and then I'm gonna make my way quietly and slowly, not like dip, 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 just wandering throughout the town,
What are you doing, Blue?
sightseeing.
Tending to the griffins?
Staying home.
I'm gonna attempt.
Groom them fuckers. They look filthy.
I'm gonna
Probably
try to.
disgusting.
They're wild
I don't know if I
animals.
have enough
Of course they do.
stuff to try
They're
to
gonna-
make one more smoke.
Pack the crap out
One
of
more,
that
go,
bird hat.
and then you're out.
Oh, supplies for smoke bomb 3.
Okay, so you can attempt to make
Like,
Uno.
if I didn't
Okay.
care.
Is that use
I'd
up one
stuff him.
of
Yeah.
the 3?
Like
Okay.
that.
And I'll like brush the
Oh
quickness.
Okay, so I need you
Break
to
his
make
own
well, you're just starting. So you can set in like a plan, or you're just gonna start like putting it together.
What the?
Smoke bomb.
I don't know. I'm a kid. I don't know.
Okay. Step 1 then we'll say is gonna be intelligence plus proficiency.
This is straight intelligence?
Yeah.
Oh, plus intelligence. 13.
Intelligence plus proficiency?
Yeah.
13? Going through and you
Are you
outline
lying?
He was
outlining your kind of like scheme and your idea, but like all the stuff that's going outside and kind of being restless from being inside, you don't make any progress on what you're on making it.
Got a lot going on, let me go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you two head out towards where?
Center.
Yeah,
Meet.
the front of town.
You notice that right now everyone seems to be just kind of like going about their business. The 4 individuals are kind of scattered throughout town, but they seem to be prepping, sharpening blades, gathering up stuff for the cart. You notice that he pulls one horse up to the front and he mounts it to the cart, and the other one you see that there's like a group of people all moving, trying to drag its body out towards the town hall that they seem to use as like a butcher area, and they're like, well, this kind of helps us out. Let's see what we can do. Let's get this thing.
If you need it cut up, I can do that real quick.
You skill as a butcher? We have a guy who used to be one.
If there's like a log or a fence piece, I'm just gonna take it up.
All right. Well, if you want to give us a hand, come on in.
Best purchase I ever made.
How long does it take me to mess with that smoke bomb idea?
A couple hours.
Okay.
You just kind of like you're on and off trying to focus
Yeah.
on it, but you can't.
I was like,
Why did
Are
I
there any
volunteer to
mirrors
stay
in
home?
this house?
God
No.
damn it.
okay.
Really?
Would there be any in my disguise kit at all, or no?
Maybe like a handheld one. Why?
I'd like to draw like a mustache and like an evil beard and like make my eyebrows bushy and like. And
Okay.
I want to put a mustache on my
Like,
griffin.
you're gonna use like an hour to make a disguise. Okay, go ahead. Anyway, so you guys head out, but what are you trying to accomplish? You notice right now they seem to be trying to deal with the fact that one of the horses went down, and they're trying to.
Alright,
Yeah,
so if they're
I'll-
just meandering,
I'll help them with that.
yeah, I was gonna hang out. short order.
Okay. As you kind of like group up, you see the one guy's kind of standing there, and the people are helping drag this like corpse of the horse over, and the butcher comes out, or one of the. He's not really like a butcher. He's just a guy who has some experience.
He's the butcher of the town.
Yeah, he's the one they got.
Like,
But
He's
together
a guy
you
with a
two
knife.
kind of move in there, and he appreciates your help, and you guys get to chopping it up. It doesn't have a lot of meat on it, but as they're cutting it up, you're kind of sitting outside, and Morin, he's just kind of like, he's like, if this is enough to feed the town, we might not have to go today.
oh.
Should be nice to take a break for once.
Mm.
Haven't had one of those in years.
And ask the butcher, do you guys boil the bones, make broth?
He kind of like,
Do
I
what?
think this is like the first. We don't really do it with the weird things that we bring back usually. But since we got this, yeah, we'll probably do that.
We don't get regular bones that
I saw
often.
them just throwing bones out earlier.
Yeah, we didn't know what that was, and it tasted real weird. So, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. And then you guys just together begin kind of like chopping it up.
I'll also be working on the whole training the griffin thing.
But you guys are kind of like standing around. You head out the thoroughfare down towards the church. What is the plan?
I'm gonna take some time, walk around it, and just kind of get a feel for it, because I know what he told me, so I'm gonna try and take a little bit closer of a look. I'm not trying to go inside yet.
You stay outside. Make an investigation check, please.
Okay. It's not terrible. And then 16.
16 from the outside. You notice again that it seems to be like blown outwards. Something, whatever happened inside, seems to be the focal point, and where the outside is mostly weathered and just damaged from years of. The inside seems in something intentional, just destroyed most of the inside. The pulpit remains standing, oddly like monolithic in the right where it's supposed to. All of the pews seem to be smashed up against the outside. The door is barricaded. The yard seems actually surprisingly different than everything else, and that's the first thing that kind of strikes you as strange, is that the ground here does not match the ground everywhere else. It's dull green like dead grass, but it's dead grass. It's not like some weird like fungal or anything like that. There's dandelions that have dilapidated. The ivy that seems to be coming down from the side while dead seems natural. And it just seems like it's relatively unaffected by whatever's been happening outside.
I make a circuit around it and see. Are there any? What's like the distance between the buildings here?
Like 10, 15 feet.
Did you guys
It's
ask
pretty
how
good.
long
Perfect.
It's been like this?
Most of them, it's been here. It's been that way as long as they've been here.
I'm gonna get I'm gonna take some time to just
Some of them were.
look at the outside and check for possible best ways to enter. You know, like without necessarily people seeing me. Especially if there's an entrance or a possible entrance concealed from the matron's house, like putting the building between me and her. You know.
So the front entrance is concealed from the matron's house. The back entrance is actually facing her house. Like not like directly, there are houses in between, but that would be in the same direction that her home is. Now, under cover of, maybe a distraction or something, you get the sense you might be able to swing in there. Or like if she's busy, you get the sense you could probably swing in there without anybody noticing. Because she would have to be looking to see somebody moving through the back.
But I could like hop through a window or something.
Yeah, from where you're standing, you can actually see like the side windows of her house. Like you can just see them through the alleyways to the right hand side.
That's what I figured.
But if you had a way to make sure that she wasn't looking, then you'd probably be fine. Or that no one would tell her, kind of thing. But yeah, what are you guys doing since you're hanging out?
Alright, so morning.
Yeah.
I understand you're tired, but a feast today is only a feast if you know you can keep eating tomorrow. I get it. If you want to take a break, that's fine. But I do think we should at least try to hunt. It sucked, but
Well, we ain't gonna feast. We're gonna divvy this up and ration it out and try to get it to last as long as possible. But
do you think it'll last a couple days?
I mean, he looks around and you can see that like the whole village is here, and there's maybe 16 people, maybe. 2 or 3 of them are under 10 or 10-ish. One's like 16. Everyone else is in their 30s and 40s, and he's just like, I mean, unless we start eating them, like we're not gonna get anywhere. So, we got more people like you. I mean, if you're willing to stay and not run off and kill yourself out in the woods, then you should be. It would do us pretty good. We might actually be able to feed some people.
Yeah, I mean, we encountered 2 of those weird goat things, and
yeah,
it was rough after having already had a fight, but I'm pretty sure we could handle them.
No, those things are the least of our worries. Their weird effects are bizarre, and I've never seen anything like it. And I've been doing mercenary work for years now, so this is what we get for taking, trying to open up a new trade route. And
so this is the only town in this Woad area
that we found, yeah.
Pushed out a little bit.
It's rations,
Yeah, my brother and I were working caravans coming from Sin Hollow. They were trying to open up trade routes down through the mountains to cut through so they can avoid orc territory in the coastal hobgoblin encampments to the north of here. So we passed through. We lost most of the merchants in the caravan in the Woad, and then when we made it here, a couple of them panicked and ran. A couple of them made noises in the night. The other men that we were with either succumbed to disease or sickness from some of these creatures and what they can do.
Right.
We were lucky enough to survive before Eileen and Griffin showed up from Tefel. They were heading towards the orc tribe that I can't remember their name, the Earth tribe, whatever they're called. They were heading, they overshot, ended up over the mountain, couldn't get back. We ran into them in the Woad.
I feel silly now. We came here looking for this place.
Well, I'm sorry to say.
We found it.
Well, I mean, everyone's got to go. If you really want to avoid, I mean, the scary things, there's really not a whole lot of options. You go too close to the orc tribe, you ruin going to the cradle. So we ain't trying to get there. Most people aren't.
She had the matron's been here the longest, right?
No, she came here. From what I understand from these people, she came here maybe like 2 dozen years ago.
Who is the oldest here?
I mean, any one of these people. Most of these people lived here their whole lives.
Let's see.
That's why he kind of like turns and he's getting a little quiet. And he's like, that's why they're like this. Mostly giving up.
Right.
But how nice it would be to see the open road again and head back, and I don't know. At this point, I'd rather go to the cradle every year.
Thinking about starting my own mercenary company.
It's a good business. Good money.
See if we can get out of here.
Oh, first we need to set up camp.
Yeah.
Get some food.
See those things always hunt in packs of 8 or 9?
Yeah.
They're the only real good source of food. Well.
No, but there's something. We try to get them. The best source is when we get some of these weird things like that horse thing we got yesterday. That was like the best case scenario I think we've had in a long time. Because a lot of them dissolve. I don't know if you've seen. Unless you get your hands on them quick, they're pretty gone. And then most of them are inedible or poisoned. We've seen a couple people die of disease from eating some of these things. It's mostly trial and error, unfortunately.
You ever heard of fire newt?
No, can't say I have.
Saw some of them on the way out here. Nasty little buggers.
Never seen.
Well, yeah, if you run into like bipedal lizard folk or things that look like giant lizards, warn everybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because on the outside, I didn't know you've been here for a while. There's a war going on.
All right.
So they might come in here and then try and take over.
If we were anywhere else, I'd call you crazy, Ben. I've seen all kinds of nightmare things, so a walking lizard ain't too crazy at this point.
They're real nasty. Although, honestly, we might be able to work together for the survival of all of us.
That'd be good.
Well,
They might just be stupid though.
what's that horse thing you were talking about look like?
The one that we were trying to cut up yesterday, they're like skinless horses with skull faces, and they like bleed as they walk. I don't know. I've never seen one before. But the things that keep coming out of here just keep, shocking and surprising people.
Right. We'll probably head out at some point just to scout around. Maybe we can find something.
All right. Well, if you guys go, good on you. We'll settle in here and see what we can dish out. I'm worried about leaving too soon. I don't want people to start fighting over grub. So.
I got you.
Yeah. Don't worry about feeding us for a while. We have our own food.
All right.
For now.
Yep.
I'll break off once he finishes cutting up the horse. Start making our way around town.
Okay. You and the gentleman.
What's up, Jimmy?
That is doing the butchering. You work together to get off a decent amount, the best you can. It is enough to feed the people here, but probably for like a day and a half. So it'll last them today and then a little bit of tomorrow before they'll need to go get more. So it looks like they're going to be divvying it out and then wrapping some up to save. They're going to cook it all, obviously, and get it prepped. So that's what they start doing. All right. With that being said, though, I think that's the buzzer. Unfortunately, we go back in. That is the end. So we will pause. We will pause the game there. We'll pick it up next Tuesday, 7 p.m. PST. Shout out to House Durden Gaming for the follow. Thanks for hanging out with the chat. Hope you've been having fun. We do play every Tuesday, 7 to 10 p.m. So Pacific Standard Time. If that's something you're interested in coming back for, come hang out with us as we continue their investigation of Baron and the Cursed Lands.
What this fucking hot, evil bitch is doing.
So that's where we're at. So thanks for hanging out with us. We will be back Monday for some gaming. It's either going to be Monster Hunter Monday like usual, or if we can manage to get some another game set up, we'll probably be doing that instead. But that's it. If you liked, give us a follow, give us a sub if that's something you're interested in. We do have a sub-only Discord. We also have a follower Discord that's in the description link of this channel. All these episodes go up on YouTube after the fact, usually about a week out. I should try to put like a decent amount of distance between them. You can always check them out. Obviously, the VODs are always on Twitch, always available, and any playthroughs of Shenanigans games we've done in the past. So yeah, but we will see you guys next time.
There's
for
some
me
good
and
clips
everybody.
on there from Monster Hunter.
Oh, there are.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there's some good ones. But all right, see you later. Bye 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 bye.
I think it's fucking Vietnam.
Sometimes we
Yeah.
get scared.
It's always weird.